And gentlemen, tracking a lot of severe weather going on throughout the Midwest. Right now we've got a couple of confirmed tornadoes near Iowa, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of those on radar. Again, we've got a confirmed tornado, a couple confirmed tornadoes we're tracking. We've got a confirmed tornado in Jasper, Iowa and Polk, Iowa. That warning is going to be going until 9:30 this morning. We've also got a couple more tornado warnings throughout Iowa, but let's take a look and see what we have going on throughout Iowa as this outbreak is going on at the moment. So let's take a look at radar and kind of break things down for you. We just had a tornado make a somewhat close call with Des Moines. And now that we have radar pulled up, we can kind of take a look at just south of Indianola and then just passing through Osceola. Here's I-35 here. There's Des Moines. So we had a confirmed tornado track just outside of Des Moines. Now it's started to dissipate, thankfully, but again, we are tracking that threat. These storms have the energy and the conduciveness to perform or to create large damaging tornadoes. It actually looks like a new confirmed tornado warning just outside of Des Moines. So let's kind of zoom in. We can take a look at it and break it all down for you. Zoom in as tight as we can to kind of get as many streets and areas that we can. So there's a look at the radar right now as we've zoomed in. So Des Moines is going to be off to the west, off to the furthest left side of your screen here. We've got I-235 running here right near Des Moines. And then this is actually where our tornado warning is going to be, right where it looks like, I can't tell what these roads are coming together. There's a debris ball. So let's kind of switch radar modes here. Doppler radar lets us do a couple of things, and we can actually see what is going on within the storm, and one of those being debris detection. So when we put on debris detection, there we go. We can see that blue dropout. That's going to indicate where our debris is as we put a kind of circle around it. So right north of Pleasant Hill is going to be where our debris is right now, and that's going to be 163 and 65. So where 163 and 65 come together, that's where our confirmed tornado is going to be at, was it 9:01 local time, 10:01 Eastern time, and this storm is going to be tracking to the east. So we've got areas like Mitchellville, Altoona, points north and east. You guys around here are going to be in this tornado warning just south of I-80. So we're, again, this is a confirmed tornado warning that's going to be going until 9:30 local time, and just kind of tracking to see, you know, what all is going on within this storm. We can see, again, switching over to velocity. So what velocity allows us to do is when Doppler radar is sampling winds, is we can see winds going towards and away from radar. So in green is winds going towards the radar, and in this case, the radar site's going to be just north of Des Moines. And so winds going towards the radar are painted in green, winds going away from the radar are painted in red, and where the two areas kind of come together, that's where you can get that twisting in the atmosphere. And that twisting is what leads National Weather Service meteorologists to cause tornado, or to create tornado warnings. And when there's enough evidence on radar or storm spotters have seen it, that's when they can go ahead and move this to a confirmed tornado warning, as seen by the purple box on your screen. So again, this tornado warning is going to be going until 9:30 local time. It's going to be for Jasper County and Polk County in Iowa. About 8:57, a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located over Pleasant Hill, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and do this for you. Let's put a storm track on this so we can get an idea of areas off. I got to zoom out a little bit, so ignore those times. I just got to zoom out so we can kind of get the full track in, and then go from here. It's going to be moving about 35 miles per hour. So areas like Mitchellville, you've got, it's going to be 9:50 local time. So actually, I don't think those times are coming in quite right. So kind of ignore the times. I would say Mitchellville, you've probably got like 5 minutes to go ahead and take your tornado precautions. Colfax, you're going to be here in the next probably about 10 minutes or so. So if you live Mitchellville, Colfax, Looks like we've got Goddard here, Metz is here. That's where we're going to be wanting to take our tornado precautions. Anywhere within this line here is where this confirmed tornado is going to be moving over the next little bit of time. If we go ahead, we can pull up our rotation tracker. We can see the rotation tracker, it lags a little bit in time. So it's not the most current radar scan. It takes a couple minutes to kind of computerize and put out this clean product. But what this product does is it takes all of that velocity data and just takes it and paints it as a, basically this is where the rotation is, or kind of tells us just a generic, simple way to view it. And so where that red is, that indicates the strongest rotation picked up by Doppler radar, and you see it's just north of 163, nearing the town of Ivy. It's going to pass just north of Ivy, coming out of Pleasant Hill. And actually what we can do is our radar saves data and lets us see history of how long this storm has been rotating for. So if we go ahead and move the map down and zoom out, we can see this storm has been rotating a long way. And that's something that these storms are going to be able to do tonight, is because the atmosphere is so conducive to large and dangerous tornadoes. You can see this storm has been rotating since well west of 169, and has just followed this way up towards Des Moines, and now that it's kind of east of Des Moines, is still rotating, and it looks like it's still going to be a tornado for areas north and east of Des Moines, where that pink box is, that's going to indicate where the confirmed tornado is. So this is taking kind of a regular look at radar. This tornado is actually passing right over 180 right now near Mitchellville, and so areas near Mitchellville, you want to be taking your tornado precaution, as this storm looks like the radar lagged a little bit, but just near Altoona, Ivy, going to be near 180 is where this tornado is going to be picked up. If we go ahead and put on our debris tracker, we can see that as the storm is moving, exactly where the debris is, and like I mentioned, the debris is going to be right at where this blue dropout exists. So what debris tracker does is it takes anything that radar picks up as rain and paints it in red. Anything that's not rain, example being birds, hail, it'll paint it in a different color. And then when there's a tornado and we have the velocity product rotating and we see this blue dropout occurring on radar, that gives us an indication that there's going to be debris aloft in the atmosphere. And that debris, you have to think of the atmosphere in multiple layers, right? There's Earth, but then extending up from Earth, as the radar is shooting out, it's shooting out pulses and getting back, that there's going to be some debris aloft in the storm. So again, this confirmed tornado warning is going until 9:30 local time. And again, rotation tracker just showing that strong rotation just outside of Altoona, going to be passing over Ivy. Colfax, they're going to be in this confirmed tornado warning here in the next little bit. Prairie City as well. You want to be taking tornado precautions, and you might be wondering, where's the best spot to be taking your tornado precautions? So we kind of created this simple, easy to look map for you. So you're sitting at home and you hear that there's a confirmed tornado or a tornado warning issued for your location. You want to be moving away from outside walls and outside rooms and get as close to the center of your house as possible. Now in the Midwest, a lot of us do have basements. So if you have a basement, that's really the best spot you can go, or at least if you can get to the lowest level of your home, apartment. I've said it before, if you live on a multi-level apartment and you're on the 4th floor, now's a good time to go make friends with the people on the 1st floor, because you want to be using their innermost room for protection. Or maybe your apartment building has a designated safe space, maybe whatever it might be, you want to be getting as far away from the exterior walls as possible and as down underneath the ground as you can. So now I'm going to hand things over to student meteorologist Matthew Wisnett, who's going to take another look at our radar and kind of explain what he sees. Matt?
Yeah, so as we look at our radar here, as you can see, it's looking, you got the storm front that's going to be pushing through here, and just below me, you're going to have that tornado warning for those areas. It looks like Idaho and Knoxville are areas that should be aware of that tornado warning. And also, right here, you have Des Moines. We have the tornado that Ryan talked about that has been observed. But the one down here below is indicated by radar, but there has been no confirmation as of yet that a tornado has touched down, but you still should be taking the precautions needed as if the tornado had touched down. So get down into those shelters, into the basement or inside stairwell area. So as you can see, as we look at the live velocity here, you have a little bit of some mixture here in this area right here. You have the green going towards, and then a red, it looks like. So there could be the tornado would be somewhere in this area right here if we're looking for one. So areas on the west side of Milo and on the east side should be aware of that, and you should be taking your precautions as that is the area where the tornado will be taking place. Ryan, I'm wondering, can you pull up the debris field for me in this area?
Let me find it. There it is. It looks like there might be a little bit of debris kind of.
Yeah, it looks like just the south there's some debris getting pulled up.
Playing the radar through time, you can kind of see just as south of Milo is where that blue dot kind of appears.
Yeah.
And then it moves through Milo, and then right now, just off to the north and east of Milo. It's kind of hard to say that that's going to be where the debris is, but actually we can switch over to velocity and kind of overlay. It's hard to say. That's what I'm going to say, is that it's hard to say for certain that that is debris. It's just possible that it's debris.
Yeah, we can't be for sure. So anyone in that tornado warning area should be taking the precautions, as we just don't know right now where in that area that tornado is. We have some speculations, but as you can see with the rotation tracker here, as you can see, you have the mixture of the green and the red, the strong and the weak area. So the tornado, we think, could be in this area, but we're not totally positive yet, as we have not had confirmation. So you should be aware of the tornado warning and make sure you are taking your precautions in that area. Yeah, I was wondering, Ryan, can you pull up the Doppler radar?
Yeah, I can just, the standard radar.
Yeah, the standard radar, yeah. Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of, you have the heavier rain just north over here in that tornado warning zone. So if you are north of Milo, you should be aware that there probably is some strong thunderstorms up there. I would think that there's a possibility of hail in that area. As you can see, the pink area of strong precipitation there. So be aware of that it is not safe to go outside. Even if there is not a tornado in that tornado warning area, there is still some really strong weather going on. So be aware of that type of weather right here in this area, that it is strong. It is still something to be careful of and be aware of as it continues to push through into Sandyville and over into Knoxville, it looks like. Yeah, and Pleasantville, it looks like. That area is where it looks like that weather is going to be pushing into, so be aware of that. But we are concerned for those areas in the tornado warning areas as we are awaiting any new news that could be coming out right now from those areas. So remember, if there is a tornado in your area, a tornado warning has been issued, make sure to get to the inside area of your house and make sure to find cover. As you can see, as we look at the live velocity here, as it continues to spin up here, you can see that red area is pushing farther up in the mixture where the green and red meet is closer to Sandyville now than it was before. So Sandyville, make sure you do have those precautions taken, even though you are not in that tornado, you are on the edge of the tornado warning area. You should be making sure to take precautions. And if we look here, you have that little dark red area along with some faded red in the mixture of the green. It's starting to mix a little bit as you look right here at Ackworth. There is a little bit of the mixture of the green and red right here. So make sure to be aware that that could be a really interesting point to see if maybe that is where a tornado can develop because of the fact that the winds are starting to swirl just a little bit. Yes, thank you. Great. That's a great view there, Ryan. So you can see the rotation tracker of the weaker winds right here south of Sandyville, and then you have the stronger winds surrounding that, so that could be very interesting as well.
Keep in mind that rotation tracker does lag a few minutes behind. So just because it's showing this rotation near Milo, when we look at velocity, that's what's going to kind of push it ahead and say, okay, this is more north and east of Milo coming near Sandyville. So I'd imagine that new tornado warning for areas like Sandyville, Pleasantville, along 92 off to north and east is going to be issued here in the next couple minutes as the storm is starting to kind of outrun the tornado warning box.
Yeah. Can you go up to that area near Des Moines as well to see if there's anything new there?
So again, the area near Des Moines at one point was a confirmed tornado. Let's put on debris tracker and see if we can see anything. To me, it looks like the debris is kind of fanned out a little bit. Like it's not as strong of a blue as it used to be, but it still looks to me like there might be a little bit of something on radar just near Mitchellville here. So south of I-80, Mitchellville is right here. And again, you know, it's not confirmed, but we might be dealing with a confirmed tornado. At least at one point, this tornado was on the ground. Now it might be moving off to north and east and kind of weakening, which is good news, of course. It looks like we do have a new tornado warning now for Pleasantville. We can take a look at areas impacted there. So we've got areas like Swan, Pleasantville, Monroe. Let's really, with this warning, we can take a deep dive and see, you know, kind of smaller towns, smaller roads associated with this. So we've got Milo, Sandyville, and then as we head off, there's 5, Pleasantville, Otley, Monroe. It's almost like these two storms are going to be coming together at a certain point because we've got this storm system that's off, you know, over here near Platteville. That's going to be moving north and east. And then we've also got this storm system down to the south. So 9:20 is when this storm is going to be in Pleasantville. So you've got, at the current rate it's going, you've got about 4 or 5 minutes to get into your tornado safe place. Monroe, 9:30, so you've got about 10 minutes to get into your safe place. And then Reznor, you've also got about 10, 15 minutes to be getting into your tornado safe place. These storms have been moving along with decent speed, about 35 miles per hour off to the north and east. Now I do want to add, it looks like they just added a tornado warning off to the north and east with this storm. And they did drop the confirmed tornado tag off of this. So now this is just a regular tornado warning near Colfax, Prairie City, and other areas. The rotation, again, it did appear to be weakening. It looked like the debris was starting to fan out, and they went ahead and dropped the confirmed tornado tag from it. That warning is going to be going until 9:30, but they went ahead and took off the confirmed tornado and moved it just back to radar indicated rotation. Now that's not to say that this storm is not producing a tornado right now or is over with. It's just saying that at the time they issued the warning, it didn't appear that there was any debris on Doppler radar. And so, again, you know, storms have the tendency to pulse up, pulse down, pulse up, pulse down. So this storm might just be weakening and then regaining some strength as it moves off to the north and east. But again, the rotation is going to be just north of Mitchellville near Santiago, Oswald, Valeria, Greencastle, near I-80 as these storms start to move off to the north and east. Again, rotation tracker is showing some strong rotation south of Mitchellville, and then remember, you know, you have to add a couple minutes of time because the rotation tracker has to process. Matt?
Yeah, as I look at that area here at Mitchellville, you can see over here that you got this strong rotation centered around the weak rotation area, so you just wonder if maybe that is where the strongest winds and areas and that possible rotation is sitting here, right over here by Mitchellville. As you can see, there's some blue on the debris radar, so there is something going on here. There might be some strong winds. It might not be a tornado, but there are some strong winds, it looks like, in that area to carry some debris into the atmosphere. As you can see, you got the multiple tornado watches, as you have the one over Indianaville, and then the extension up past Knoxville, up towards the Newton area, and then you have the continuation of the one west of Des Moines that from the previous tornado that has been downgraded to a tornado watch, not a confirmed tornado. And as we look at this area down in Pleasantville, you got the velocity here, you have it moving towards Des Moines, you have this little area right over here, actually by Indianola. You have that mixture of the red and green, so that will be an interesting area to watch to see if there's any type of turning, any type of just spin here in that area. And also, you're going to have that area up or on the west side of Des Moines is where there is some turning between the away and towards radar winds. So there could be something right there that might be the remnants of what that tornado was in that area earlier. And as we continue to look out here near Newton and Knoxville, you can see the towards winds are out here on the right, and then you have some going away winds as well mixed in those areas. So there might be some turning, some spiraling happening. We're just not sure right now. So make sure to take those precautions and be extra safe in these times. You can see the radar. You can see these heavy bands of rain and some more rain coming on the west side out by Greenville. So there will be some rain coming behind these strong storms. So there may not be any relief anytime soon when it comes to rain. So be aware of that if you are indoors right now, that there are some strong storms in the area.
Yeah.
And
regardless of whether or not there's a tornado, there's some heavy rain and strong wind associated with this. It doesn't have to be rotating wind to cause damage, and it doesn't have to be a strong tornado to cause damage. Regardless, it looks like there's some heavy rain associated with this. Let's actually throw on our hail tracker and see if we can see. It looks like there is some hail just outside of Indianola, and that's it's hard to say whether or not it's making it to the ground, but at least in some points we've got 0.2-inch diameter hail being picked up as the radar is scanning the Earth. So again, the radar is scanning up, so it's hard to say, that it's falling to the ground, but it does look like associated with this could be some hail. And also, we've got these heavy rains moving through areas like Pleasantville, Palmyra. Even though, like Palmyra, you're not in a tornado warning, we've still got some strong winds, strong rain associated with this. As I zoom out, we can take a look at all the places associated with this line of severe weather. We've got this huge line of storms that's coming down, stretching all the way from Minnesota, stretching all the way down through Des Moines, off towards I-35. And then behind it, we've also got another line of some strong storms associated with it near Creston. So regardless of whether or not you're under a tornado warning tonight, there's some strong winds and strong rain associated with this storm front as this area starts to work over to the north and east. Eventually, hopefully as the night goes on, we'll start to lose some of that instability in the atmosphere and some of that juice that'll keep these storms going. Actually, can we zoom into this severe thunderstorm warning up near Fort Dodge? Take a look. We've been kind of covering these tornado warnings all night. We don't want to forget about those under a severe thunderstorm warning. So we've got, this area of the yellow on the map all the way over here. This is severe thunderstorm warning or severe thunderstorm watches. And then this area, kind of in orange and yellow, that's where a severe thunderstorm warning is going to be near Fort Dodge. If we zoom in on this, we can kind of see what all is going on within this and kind of learn a little bit about why this severe thunderstorm warning has been issued near Fort Dodge. So areas included in this severe thunderstorm warning include Humboldt, Badger, Clare, just to the north of Fort Dodge. We can throw on our hail tracker and see. Doesn't look like there's any hail associated with this storm system, but again, nonetheless, heavy rain. The winds are strong, but it doesn't appear to be rotating, so that is some good news. And we can kind of learn a little bit about this severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to be going until 10 p.m. Central Time for 60-mile-per-hour gusts. The National Weather Service is saying expects damage to roofs, siding, and trees. So Fort Dodge, Dakota City, Badger, Humboldt, Thor, Vincent, areas within that. They are saying remain alert for the possibility of a tornado as they can develop quickly. So they're just kind of, with this severe thunderstorm warning, kind of putting out the little signal of, hey, even though there's not a lot of rotation associated with this storm right now, that's not to say that these storms can't go produce a tornado. as they move off to the north and east. Now moving back down with our rotation tracker down to this storm outside of Pleasantville. It does look like the storms or the rotation associated with all these storms is kind of weakening, which is some good news because if we go back in time, we can kind of see, you know, some of the brighter colors associated with the rotation track, especially with this storm up near Des Moines. We can actually put on a historical track of rotation, and especially with this storm up near Des Moines, that seems to thankfully be falling apart as these tornado warnings start to be remedied and take off some of the watches. And again, it looks like some of these storms are starting to lose their energy, and it's in a way of they're losing their energy rotation-wise, but these storms are still packing quite the punch. There's plenty of rainfall, plenty of wind associated with these storms. So did just see, it looks like a new round of severe thunderstorm watches just got issued off in Arkansas, or that would actually be a tornado watch going until 11 o'clock Central Time. So areas like Pine Bluff, you guys are under this tornado watch. Another severe thunderstorm warning here in Louisiana, just outside of Shreveport. This is going to be Homer, Athens, seeing some heavy rain associated with this. Put on our hail tracker. It does look like there is some hail associated with this storm near Athens. Trying to query our, it might not want to, but again, trying to query the hail size with this, associated with this. About half-inch diameter hail falling with this storm near Athens. So if you live near Athens, Lisbon, Homer, keep in mind that this storm has some strong winds associated with it. Does look like there are some decent winds associated with it. It's hard, the rotation within this is very weak and very kind of broad rotation. It's not super tight, but again, it does look like there appears to be at least a little bit rotation within this. Reading to see if the National Weather Service has indicated the same. They said 1-inch diameter hail, nothing about tornadoes, but again, it might just be the radar kind of picking up a false return with that. But again, this line of strong thunderstorms is going to be around much of the day today. And also for areas going into the day tomorrow, we can take a look at our severe weather potential for tomorrow. And just because they got through today, they're not done. They have a level 3 out of 5 risk in much of the same areas, a little further to the west this time, but areas like Omaha, Oklahoma City, Dallas, under at level 3 out of 5 risk map.
Yeah, there's going to be another low pressure system that's going to move through in this area here into the Midwest and up into that Ohio Valley area where they've already received some thunderstorms tonight and some tornadoes in those areas. As we saw some pictures from the Nebraska area and Omaha area as they saw some tornadoes earlier today.
I'm trying to see if we can get a future radar pulled up for you. And it just kind of pulled in the local. So I'm going to try work on that in the background to see if we can't get a future radar pulled up for you. But again, let's switch back to the day 2 severe outlook and see, you know, with this associated area of low pressure just moving through the Midwest.
Yeah. You're going to see in that Texas Panhandle area, just to the west, just to the east of that, you're going to see some moderate risk for some severe weather, as well as stretching all the way up into Omaha, where they already saw some devastation earlier. I saw some pictures earlier of what some of the tornadoes in those areas did to the area, and they're not out of the woods yet tomorrow, as they're going to see some more severe weather, as well as areas of Chicago and out near St. Louis. There will be some risk, some slight risk for some severe weather as it pushes through tomorrow and out east, as well as areas as far south as Dallas. We'll see some areas of heavy rain and severe weather outlook. And it looks like Ryan here is pulling up the severe weather. And you can see this line is going to come through and bring some severe weather just north of Dallas, it looks like. It's going to push through here. And Ryan, it looks like he's going to wind that back for us as we look further.
I'm just trying to zoom it in so we can get more locales in here. kind of pay attention to where some of these stronger storms are. This is taking the model data right now, and I would say the model is doing a pretty decent job of portraying what it's looking for. And then as we go through time, we can kind of pay attention to, you know, what the model is trying to pick up on for tomorrow. Again, we've got the severe weather threat. Looks like most of it's going to start near Kansas and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and then it's going to move off to the north as we get later into the day. And we're going to be dealing with another nocturnal threat into the day on Sunday. So again, 2 days in a row of nocturnal threats when it comes to severe weather. And again, not good timing to be dealing with this severe weather threat because it's dark outside, you can't see what's going on. But taking a look at these tornado warnings up near Iowa, looks like they just kind of deleted a couple, and we're down to just a one tornado warning at least right now in Iowa. Moving down south, a couple severe thunderstorm warnings, but it looks like as of now we're just dealing with this one tornado warning outside Pleasantville, Iowa. Matt?
Yeah, as we look at that area, it looks like you just got this one area now, as Ryan has already said, as most of the areas that they've deemed that have just calmed down a bit, and there's not much left there. So as you look at west of Monroe and north of Pleasantville, you can see is where that main cell is moving through with the heavier rain and possible rotation in that storm. So as you see, it's going to push northward up close through Monroe and up probably towards that Sully area. So be aware of those heavy storms lining through. And there is going to be some punch behind it, as well as some rain down south in Indianola as well. It has some heavy storms that will be pushing through that area. So there will be a lot of rain coming through tonight and into tomorrow, as there will be some strong thunderstorms bringing some rain to these areas. So be aware that if you are making plans, if you are out tonight, find some shelter and stay inside. And if you're making plans for tomorrow, be aware of those plans and the fact that there is going to be storms moving through. So understand that you may just have to cancel them in preparation for those storms that will be pushing through tomorrow evening and night. And you can see you have this storm right here. You have the heavier rainfall is on the southern tip of it here in this area. And you can just see it's pushing through while you got the green and lighter rain a little bit more to the north area and some green behind it. So there's probably some heavier winds. I'm wondering, can we get the velocity map of it, Ryan?
Yeah, 1 second.
So you got the heavy thunderstorms are pushing through right now, and as you can see with the live velocity look, you got the winds behind it. There doesn't seem to be a lot of strong rotation here. Maybe a little bit far on the northeast side of Hartford. There could be some rotation possibly, but not much right now. Even though the winds are butting up against each other, there doesn't seem to be a lot of rotation right now. But be aware that there still is the chance that it could form into something. So be aware of that. If you are in that tornado warning area, take shelter until the all clear is given. So be aware of that. There still will be some heavy rain here pushing through, as well as some winds. Even if they are not from a tornado, there will be some winds coming through. So be prepared for some damages to your property and to surrounding areas when you wake up in the morning or if you go out tomorrow. So we just be aware of those winds, be aware to take shelter, and understand that it may not be a tornado, but there will be some winds going on. So just be aware of what that happens. And as we just look at this here, you just have this red area of winds pulling away from the radar, and you have those winds going towards the radar in green, and you have a little bit of a mixture up here as well as a little bit down here, but they're not really spiraling together. There's not a lot of rotation yet. So we're watching that area, but there's not much going on. And so I'm going to pass off to Ryan here in a minute once he's all set. But you just be aware of those winds, be aware of the rotation that is coming from those winds. But there may not be a tornado, but there still is some strong winds in that area. So take shelter until it is gone, until the warning goes away. And I'm going to turn over to Ryan here and what he's got.
Yeah, so we talked about, these strong winds, these strong rains moving through parts of southeast Iowa. And as we kind of look at it, we're getting live power outage numbers from our friends over at Power Outage US. So Ringgold County, you've got about 13,500 people tracked, and about 1,500 people are without power. So majority of Ringgold County is without power. Union County, we've got about almost 2,000 without power. As we move into Madison County, 215 without power. As we move into some of the more populated counties, such as Marshall, Story, we might not be dealing with as many power outages, but some of the more rural counties, it doesn't take a lot to kind of create these colors to show up. It's just looking purely at power outage data as this storm is kind of moving off to north and east. So areas like Des Moines, maybe not without power, but areas near Leon, Centerville, off to south is where we're going to be dealing with some of this. I'm going to go ahead and put on what we call 4-panel mode, and that's basically going to take all of this data and create it in the 4 boxes so we can kind of pinpoint where exactly all this is going on. So we've got our typical rain mode over here near Monroe, Otley, and that's where we can kind of see just our typical rainfall, what we're dealing with, what you see every day, rainfall, possibly some hail and some of these pink shades, but we've got our wind product over here, and we can see where these storm systems are rotating. Again, this is kind of similar to the rotation tracker we had at the other wall, where we can see, it just simplifies it all down. And then we've also got a debris tracker off to the left. No debris associated with this storm as of right now, but again, as these storms are moving along, at one point, I believe the storm near Des Moines was a little further up to north and east, did have a confirmed tornado associated with it, and then now that warning has been allowed to expire. So these storms, as they are kind of moving further to the east, are starting to weaken out, which is a good thing to see, as again, these storms have been pretty severe. Zooming out, taking a look at the whole country, we do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings off to the south, but as of now, these are the only tornado warnings that we have in effect. This one up in Iowa, so we've got areas like Monroe. It's going to be off to the north and east of Pleasantville, knocking on the doorstep of Monroe. So Monroe, you want me to go ahead and take your tornado precautions right now, because it looks like the rotation is starting to pick up just a bit, and that's something that's common with these storms, is they can kind of give the sense that they're weakening, and then all of a sudden pick back up, and then we definitely want to be taking our tornado precautions if we're anywhere within this tornado warning. But Monroe, it looks like you are more of a population center, so you definitely want to be taking your tornado precautions right now, as again, not a confirmed tornado, but at least on Doppler radar is showing that rotation within the atmosphere as knocking on the doorstep of Monroe. So if we want to take a look at the other computer and pass things over to Matt, we can kind of get a better look at what's going on as the storm is knocking on the doorstep of Monroe. Matt?
Yeah, as we look at Monroe, you can see there's still a tornado warning. You're going to have the live velocity here. You have these winds mixing right now. There's not a lot of rotation yet in this area, but we're still watching it as you have the winds mix. There's always that possibility of some rotation with these storms, so you got to keep an eye on those areas as Ryan zooms in there. So you do have the wind. You have the track here. It's going to go up towards Monroe. It's going to go through Resner at 9:55. So you got about 5-10 minutes. Or yeah.
I drew it at 35 miles per hour. This storm's actually moving at 45 miles per hour. So I'm going to zoom the radar out a bit just so we can get that 45 miles per hour in there.
Yeah.
As it's moving off to the north and east. And the computer is deciding to lag just a little bit. There's a lot of data coming in, so it decides at times that to be a little slower, but
it's still going to be moving that way. It might be moving a little faster than we originally had, so that it puts even more importance on finding those shelter areas and getting into shelter before it arrives. If you're in that Monroe area, that Resner area.
Yeah, Monroe, you've only got a couple minutes until this thing's knocking on your doorstep.
Yeah, Oakland Acres and Greenville, be aware of this storm moving in, as you will need to start taking shelter soon if it continues to push through at the speed that it's pushing through with its intensity.
Is even faster than what I drew it as. the speed of this storm system.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to pass through the Interstate 80. It's going to pass over it. So be aware if you were on that road that there is a chance that this storm might pass over you and through you. And if you are on the road during one of these storms, please pull off. It is dangerous to drive in these storms as they can cause a lot of problems while driving.
There we go. Now we can put on Resnor. You've got a couple minutes. Kellogg, you've got about 10 minutes until this storm system is knocking on your doorstep. So these storms are flying along. Looking to see if anything from the National Weather Service catches my eye. Nothing that is crazy, but again, moving 45 miles per hour, located 10 miles east of Indianola, located near Milo, and again, the storm moving off to north and east, eventually reaching its way towards Long Point after top of the hour. So if you find yourself in a tornado warning tonight or at all over the next couple of days as a severe outbreak occurs, you want to definitely heed the warning because these storms are moving pretty fast off to the north and east, Matt.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you take cover as even if they do not bring tornadoes, they still can bring extreme winds as well as there's always heavy precipitation. These storms are bringing a lot of rain. So you have to make sure that you take care and understand that there could, with a bunch of rainfall in a quick time, there can be some flash flooding. So be aware of that. Make sure you take your precautions and find your safe areas inside the building or house that you are in. So as we look at this rotation tracker, you got that little weak area right now of winds and some strong winds area. There's not a lot of rotation yet, but we're still watching it in case something is going to happen here. It may just patter out as it loses some strength as it continues to push northeast, but we're still going to continue to track it here. But either way, there is some strong rain coming with these storms. The possibility of hail is always there with some severe weather, whether there's a tornado there or not. So be aware of that hail, be aware of that rain area. Maybe, Ryan, can we see if we can get the debris tracker, see if anything new's happened?
For you.
Yeah, there's a little bit of blue there, but not much.
To me, it looks more like just kind of clutter associated with it, not really debris.
Yeah, it doesn't look very, compared to what we saw earlier where it was isolated in a circle area. It doesn't really have that right now. So it might just be some clutter from some other objects right now in the atmosphere. But there's not a lot of debris yet, so there's not a lot indicating right now that there is a tornado in the area, but we need to be aware of it and make sure you take your precautions with these winds, with these storms, as it can come up really fast and come up out of nowhere. So you need to be aware, take shelter if you're in those tornado warning areas, and if you are in the projected areas as it moves northeast, be aware of that. Be aware of making plans to find shelter if that is the case, if that is needed here, as it continues to push northeast at a pretty fast rate at 45 miles per hour, as we talked about earlier. So there's not a whole lot left. Maybe we're hoping that it just patters out and loses its energy, and it's just the normal rainstorms and thunderstorms that come with it. But make sure to take shelter in those areas, as there will be another system pushing through tomorrow that could bring tornado activity as well as other stuff into these same exact areas that have been seeing it tonight. So make sure that you are taking shelter. Don't just ignore the warnings. Don't ignore the rainstorms. Make sure you take shelter. Make sure you are taking the precautions needed, as they can spin up out of nothing. And even without tornado activity, there is heavy rain associated with these and some winds. So be aware of what's going on in that area. Ryan, I'm wondering, is that Dallas area any different still? Is there still that severe weather
Taking
activity?
a look and zooming out near Dallas?
Yes.
Yeah, I think for now the severe threat's kind of moving its way through Texas and is more closer to Louisiana. Yeah, it's starting to work its way out of Texas. Just a little line of severe storms off near Texarkana, Boston. But it's eventually going to be crossing the border soon into, I believe, Oklahoma, as we move, Oklahoma and Arkansas. Again, we do have a tornado watch posted for areas in Arkansas, but nothing super, severe at the moment, per se.
Yeah, I would say continue to watch it if you are in those areas. Those storms are still going to bring some rain and the possibility of hail. So even without the tornadoes, there's still some heavy precipitation that is going to come with these storms.
And I just loaded in the low rock radar, and you can see that line of severe storms moving through.
Yeah, as it looks like it's pushing eastward, maybe with a little bit of northeast too. So, but this area is an area to watch, as tomorrow there will be another low pressure system moving in with those storms that will be affecting this area as well, and we will be keeping watch of that tomorrow. And I will say, be aware of those storms if you live in those areas for your plans tomorrow, whether you live in the Midwest or the Ohio Valley, or if you're down in the South in the Texas, Oklahoma area. There are some severe weather that will occur tomorrow, so keep that in your plans for tomorrow as we continue to look at the different severe weather threats faced around the country right now tonight that will be continuing tomorrow afternoon and evening with the potential that they will be facing. So be aware of that as we look right now. As Ryan zooms out here, as you can see, it's going to be that Oklahoma area as well as into Wichita and Omaha. There will be moderate risk for severe weather as that second low pressure system moves in and brings in some severe weather with it as well. And it will also bring some slight and marginal risk to areas such as St. Louis and Chicago as it pushes northeast and across and as it pushes out towards the eastern side of the U.S. So be aware of that weather tomorrow if you're making plans. Be aware of what you need to do to stay safe in that weather. So continue to watch and stay up to date with the weather for tomorrow as there is some severe weather potential. So make sure you make according plans for tomorrow. If you have outdoor activities, maybe it's not the best day to do it. Might need to be postponed with the weather that will be coming in tomorrow for these areas, as we've already seen today from the Nebraska Omaha area, that there is some severe weather. There can be some real devastation in these areas, as we saw a couple of tornadoes go through that area and cause real devastation to a lot of some of the neighborhoods and stuff. As I've seen some pictures, it is really heartbreaking to see what weather can do. So make sure you make according plans and you take shelter, as they can be extremely dangerous. And as we look at the radar here,
what I'm actually going to do for you, Matt, is put on the national radar, take off the local radar, and we're just going to kind of get an overall look and see what's going on across the U.S. Because, we're so hyper-focused in on these tornado warnings that we forget, there's a whole line of weather associated with this. We've got storms working their way through Illinois right now, near Champaign, off to south in Illinois, working its way all the way through Memphis, areas like Memphis, Paragould, Arkansas, Little Rock, just kind of this whole band associated. We've got this high pressure system working its way near the Dakotas, and as it spins, it's just kind of throwing out this frontal boundary. It's got a whole line of severe weather associated with it. So again, we've got this, we've got some severe weather associated with this, kind of more centered near Iowa, and then off further to the south, moving out of Texas, areas moving into Arkansas. For now, it seems like the severe weather threat is starting to slowly wind down, so that is some good news. And then, again, north, we've got just showers kind of associated with this, but here, nothing severe.
We might have a tornado watch, it looks like, for areas of Arkansas that was just issued by the National Weather Service, it looks like, until 11 o'clock Central Time for Columbia, Miller, and Lafayette, Arkansas, it looks like. Let's see, the counties also included are Calhoun, Clark, Cleveland, Columbia, Dallas, Garland, Grant, Hempstead, Hot Spring, Lafayette, Little River, Miller, Nevada, Ottawa, Pike, Pulaski, and Saline are areas that need to be wary and start taking shelter, as there is a tornado watch that has been issued for those areas until 11 o'clock Central Time, midnight here on the Eastern Time. So be aware of that. Take shelter until that warning expires. That is something that has just come up across our desk here, and we will be taking a look at that shortly once we are able to bring up that side of the radar.
Yep, that's going to be the tornado watch right there. It just got highlighted in yellow. So it looks like they continued that off to the north and east. New tornado warning up in Iowa, so we'll go ahead and get back to that. Looks like they just kind of extended that tornado warning further out. So yeah, it looks like they continued that tornado warning as it's going to be moving off to north and east near Newton. That rotation is pretty strong near Reznor. Definitely, it's kind of pulsed back up, I would say. His rotation tracker, a few minutes old, kind of showing weaker rotation, but that velocity kind of showing that stronger rotation associated with it.
Yeah, as you look at this, as you look at the towards and away winds here, as you look at it, you can see the green area is pretty prevalent now. It was a little bit smaller than it was a little bit smaller a while ago, but now as you can see that green area and red area mix has become a little bit more dominant over near north of Reznor area, and you can see as the red is starting to creep down over here, almost starting to make a little circle of green, which is something we will be watching as that could turn into something, but we will continue to watch it here as they've extended the area to cover Kellogg and Newton, it looks like, have now been pushed into that warning. So start beginning to take shelter if you are in Newton and Kellogg, as the tornado warning has been issued for your areas, as well as those areas in Arkansas that have been issued a tornado warning. Make sure to take shelter in those areas as Ryan pulls up the live velocity look, or maybe it's just not changed, maybe it's just the red that has occurred from the radar here, but it's looking, you need to keep an eye on this. We're going to continue to watch it as the winds continue to get a little bit stronger. As you can see that bright green as the winds are a little bit stronger in that area, and you have a little bit bright red below that. So it is something we will be watching here in the, as this warning has been extended quite a bit. So we will be watching that area to see if anything happens. And that is what, Ryan, I want to see, is the debris field changed at all? Possibly.
Let's see here.
I wouldn't imagine.
It's really hard to tell. You know, playing it through time helps, but it's really hard to tell whether or not there's debris associated with this. The wording from National Weather Service is that this is radar indicated rotation.
Yeah, so we'll continue to watch that as the debris radar is not showing much, but that does not mean there still may be activity there. So continue to watch the area. There's still some heavy rainfall here, some possibility of hail just north of Reznor is what that pink is saying. So be aware there could be some chances of some heavy precipitation, some heavy rainfall in these areas as they continue to push this north into Newton and into Kellogg as well, up towards Interstate 80. So make sure that you are taking the precautions you need to stay safe. If you are on the road and you cannot get to a safe area where you can park your car, please pull off the road and take shelter, as these storms are extremely powerful and are dropping a lot of rain. There's also some wind associated with these storms, so please be careful, as these storms can create some serious problems while driving. And if you are inside, make sure you stay inside as that warning is issued. So continue to watch it as we look at that area. I was wondering, Ryan, is there anything radar-wise, has it really changed at all with how it's moving? It's still moving northeast?
Still moving north and east at 30 miles per hour. It does look like it kind of tightened up just a little bit, at least some way of reflectivity there. We can kind of see that little inflow notch, and what I mean, kind of putting an arrow on your screen. That wind is flowing into the thunderstorm over Reznor, and then is kind of allowing the storm to rotate. So again, some decent rotation near Reznor, but nothing in way of like that it's gonna, you know, currently producing tornado. It might be. It's hard to tell, and it is nighttime. But as of now, the National Weather Service at least believes that this is a radar-indicated tornado.
And it is something that we will continue to keep our eyes on here as we continue to follow it, as well as the warning that was issued for areas of Arkansas. As those areas have seen, there is some severe weather over in that Arkansas area that is continuing to push northeast associated with this low pressure system. So we will continue to look at this tornado warning area, and in a little bit we will look at the areas that were issued new warnings out in Arkansas and what that might look like right now, as that was something new that we had not seen previously. There might have been a tornado watch in those areas, but there had not been a warning issued yet. And so we will wait and see what that turns into. As you can see, there's a little bit of bright green, so there's some strong winds here, but nothing to indicate anything yet. So we will continue to follow that and continue to see if anything develops from this system. But it will bring some heavy rain. It will bring some heavy precipitation. So make sure to stay inside. There might be some flash floods associated with the heavy rain that will be brung in a short period of time, so make sure that you are watching your surroundings, continue to be vigilant in these times, and continue to take shelter with these winds. As Ryan's going to zoom out here and show us the full view, the bigger outlook here of these storms. As you can see, this wall is pushing through right now on the western side of Interstate 35 and on Interstate 80 area, and you have this line behind it that will bring some rain as well, as that will project outwards, as Ryan's drawing that for us here.
Yeah, so I kind of just estimate how fast this is moving based on how fast other storms are moving tonight. So it might not be exact time. You probably don't want to pay attention to the times on this, but you kind of want to pay attention to the cities. We're going to talk about Waukee again. And then moving into Des Moines and Indianola, Osceola, areas we talked about earlier in the night that are going to be seeing this line of severe storms, or not severe storms, but this line of strong storms that's going to be marching its way further to the east, going to be moving its way through as we get into the overnight tonight. So, the threat is not over for areas in here just because they saw this line out front. There is at least a strong line of storms that's going to be working its way in. Nothing severe warned with it, but again, that severe thunder or that tornado watch is still up for these counties as we go into the next little bit.
Yeah, and we're going to try to take a look at the new tornado watch for these Arkansas areas in Columbia, Arkansas, Miller, Arkansas, and Lafayette.
Yeah.
As that was something that was issued new, and that will extend into 11 p.m. Central Time, which is a midnight Eastern Time. So we'll look at those areas to see what is going on in those areas with these storms.
So that in yellow is going to be where that severe thunderstorm watch is, or that tornado watch, pardon me, is.
Yeah, as we look, you have the two areas. You have one north of Arcadia pushing into Bernice and Homer as well, and it looks like a lot of those stronger thunderstorms have pushed up, so maybe it is that cell below it.
And as these storms that are starting to kind of get out in front of the main line of storms, and that's where we're going to be wanting to pay attention for the possibility of rotation, because once these storms kind of isolate themselves and become more discrete, that's where the potential for inflow comes in, and they can kind of get spinning as we go forward in time. So as of now, only a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Homer. This is going to be north of I-20, I-80, or not I-80, 80, I-20. But, this is in Louisiana, so moving off to the north and east. So again, we're going to be talking about areas within the severe thunderstorm watch. Actually, this is Arkansas, Columbia, Miller, as these storms start to kind of work their way out of Louisiana, out of some of the northern parishes there. So when it comes to this specific severe thunderstorm warning that we're tracking, we're going to be talking about Claiborne Parish, Beanville Parish, Lincoln parishes, and that severe thunderstorm warning is going to be going until 10 p.m. So another 3 minutes with this. They did say tornado possible with this, but that's kind of just to kind of keep our fences up and make sure that nothing is rotating with this. And this is off the Shreveport radar. Nothing crazy in terms of rotation associated with this. So at least for now, it seems like that severe weather threat is diminishing, but again, it looks like we do just have a new tornado warning, the extension of that tornado warning up in Jasper, Iowa. Anything new that the National Weather Service is still radar indicated rotation. So let's kind of bring our radar up. They're just kind of issuing these severe thunderstorm warnings to keep pace with these storms. And, as the storm is moving off to the north and east, they want to make sure that the warning is out in advance of this. So radar indicated rotation, nothing confirmed as of yet, but that still doesn't mean that there's not a tornado warning associated with, or a tornado on the ground associated with this. These storms moving at about 30 miles per hour. So Kellogg, actually, I think I doubled the speed that they're actually moving at. Let's throw another track on. I'm going to be moving at about 30 miles per hour. So Kellogg, about 10, 11. The good news with these storms, at least this storm here, is that as it's kind of moving further away from Des Moines, we're talking about more rural areas, more farm areas, But again, there are populations within these rural areas that need to stay weather aware as we go into the overnight hours. Both tonight's severe weather threat and tomorrow's severe weather threat are nocturnal, which means that the severe weather is supposed to be heightened as we go into the overnight hours. So, as people are starting to go to bed, as people are, kind of not paying attention, that is when the most dangerous time for tornadoes occurs. So you want to, as you're going to bed, make sure that you have your phone set with you. Your phone will automatically send you those warnings based on your location. So if you're within a tornado warning, you'll automatically get your alerts on your phone. But also just have a backup just in case that doesn't come through. So that could be something like a local TV station app, something like the WeatherStem app, the Fox Weather app. We want to make sure that you are getting those tornado warnings because as you move into the overnight hours, you're not really paying attention to the weather. And that is when most casualties, unfortunately, occur when it comes to tornadoes. So this rotation here, as we approach the 11 o'clock hour, 10 p.m. Central, again, is just north of Reznor. If we can kind of zoom in, see if any towns populate with this. We've got Kellogg up here. I-80 is right here. But we want to see if we can get even more zoomed in and get more local towns associated with this. If we can just kind of move the map up to the south a little bit. We've got Newton. Doesn't look like there's any towns. Oakland Acres is right here. We've got Kellogg here. I-80. So keep in mind that if you're traveling on I-80 between, I would say, Oakland Acres, and if you can move the map just a little bit further to the west for me, just so we can get an idea. I would say between Oakland Acres and Newton, you want to be pulling off I-80. And when you're dealing with interstates, we might be having gas stations associated with this, Kellogg. So just pull off of I-80 for now, find a gas station, and just kind of wait this storm out. As there's still some decent rotation associated with this storm. As the radar just updates, it's going to be right off to kind of the bottom of your screen. Going to be approaching I-80 here, moving towards Kellogg. So we've got I-80, we've got Route 6, Kellogg, just going to be moving in over the next little bit of time. So Kellogg, Oakland Acres, you do want to be taking your tornado precautions as this storm is starting to move in. As of now, no confirmation on it, but it is a radar indicated severe, or a tornado warning rather.
Yeah, and if we can zoom out for a minute of this area.
I just got a report of power flashes near Pleasant Hill and a tornado or a tornado debris signature indicated on radar, which means at least at one point there was some debris being lofted. That's kind of off-center of where we've been tracking our rotation, but that might be something that we want to look at. I'm going to go ahead and circle it for you right in here. Not rotate. Oh, it almost looks like it's kind of creating its own secondary line of rotation, doesn't it, Matt?
It does. It's looking really interesting. You're starting to get that swirl a little bit of the green and red here in that area. As Ryan's going to bring up the rotation tracker here, it's going to be in this area right here is where you're going to see that little swirl. If we can bring up the winds again. Real quickly, as you can see, you have that little rotation just on the edge right down here. You have a little bit of movement between the winds. That's something we're going to start watching as it continues to move northeast. Maybe that is something that the National Weather Service saw and extended for. Oh, you got a little debris circle right here.
Yeah.
That is really interesting to look at. There could be something there.
So in Polk County, Iowa, power flashes reported. Which indicates that there could be some sort of, tornado on the ground, or at least strong winds enough to knock out power lines. But again, there is that possibility. It looks like we're dealing with kind of a secondary storm system. This is what we've been tracking, and now it looks like this could be a confirmed tornado. At least that's what the belief is as of now, is that that could be a confirmed tornado on the ground. So this is going to be approaching I-80. Newton, I would say it's going to be more to the east of you, more towards Kellogg. As the radar updates, we got another look at the debris tracker, and it looks like it kind of spread out a bit. But again, right in here is where that it's believed that that rotation is going to be moving off to the north and east at about 30 to 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, and it's an area we're just going to continue to watch as this system continues to move through north and east. As there was some power, some small power flickering there, it is something that we are going to continue to watch, especially as the debris tracker has shown that little interesting piece there. And it's something that we have not seen in a little bit, as most of it has been scattered. There really hasn't been that little circle area of debris, which is sometimes an indicator of something else going on there. As you can see the radar here, as you look at the radar, you have the heavier rain here to the north, but that tornado is a little bit more towards the south of that area, just behind a lot of this just humongous pack of rain to the north. So that is something to watch right here as we look at this area, we look at what it could be developing. The winds there are showing that there is possibly something there. So we're going to continue to look at it as it continues to move through, as the winds continue to push here, as they are strong. There is some hard precipitation there, so be aware of that. Be aware of what these winds can do, and continue to take shelter in those areas until this warning expires. Regardless if there is a tornado or not, you need to take shelter, as this is something that we are going to be watching and wary of.
And that tornado warning is going to be going until, I'm reading it, looks like 10:30. I can't see the time. If I had to guess, it would probably be 10:30. Yep, 10:30.
Yeah, depending on how it moves, they may extend it again. They have continued to extend this tornado warning northeast continuously as the system moves through, as the potential there has been there. So it is something that we will continue to watch as it continues to push through that area, as there is a line of storms behind it that will push through behind this. So even if this line pushes through without a lot of activity, there still is a line behind it with a lot of precipitation that we will continue to watch here as we await any extra news from NWS about any possible new updates on that area.
I think it's interesting kind of watching this go through time. It almost looked like we had a secondary area of rotation associated with this off more to the west over here. And then now that kind of dissipated. Now this almost looks like it's strengthening up again as it approaches I-80. And again, we've got a couple areas of rotation within this. So it's kind of an interesting little storm system off in Iowa, moving off to the north and east over the next little bit. So we've got, plenty of rain going on. We've got, the severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got tornado warnings. We're tracking it all for you here on FSU Weather. We've got I-80, Kellogg. If we pull up our rotation tracker, we can kind of see again, Lax is a few minutes behind, but we can see that there is some weak rotation associated with this line. I'm going to go ahead and put on the HAL tracker because there was a little bit of a mention of it associated with the warning. Doesn't look like anything strong or severe right now. Matt?
Yeah, we're going to continue to look and watch these storms, as well as there are storms to the south over in Arkansas that are pushing through with some severe weather potential. And we're going to scroll down to those real quick to see how those have continued to develop in those areas as they push through with the rain, as well as the winds that they may be producing in those areas. As you have that really cell that's dropping a lot of rain and possibly some hail in this area just to the east of
Take a look at
Ashdown.
HAL tracker.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some decent, we can go ahead and query that and see what's about 1.6 inch diameter HAL. Again, this is a radar estimate, so this probably isn't what's making the ground, but that's still some decent HAL associated with this.
I think that's the biggest we've seen tonight, and that storm is going to continue to push northeast, so that hail might tracker, that storm that is bringing that hail will continue to move northeast, so as the city of Ashdown, east areas of Arden continue to watch out as this storm is bringing some serious precipitation, some serious rain as well as some hail to this area, and Ryan's going to pull out the estimate of how fast it's moving and where it's going to move to next.
Really bad for you.
But it is going to push into over Highway 59, so be aware of that area into probably areas of Ben Lemoyne and some other rural areas out there. So continue to be vigilant, be aware of the precipitation there. As you can see, Ashdown, it will be there in probably about 10 minutes. And a little bit after that, it will be Wilton as well. It will be pushing in there. So continue to be vigilant, continue to take your safety measures and be safe, as hail can bring some damage to roofs as well as other areas and properties. So continue to be vigilant, take some shelter, remain safe, and take the necessary precautions to be safe in these storms. Yeah, Ryan, I'm wondering, is the other area showing any like signs of growth?
The tornado warning?
Yeah, or tornado watch down in Arkansas. The other one,
that's
maybe
kind of what we were looking at.
Yeah. Oh, is the other one dissipated? It looks like. Yeah, I think I thought there was
we
two
can
down
kind
there.
of clear off. So we clear off radar. That in yellow. The yellow and orange box, that's severe thunderstorm warning. The yellow with the red outline, that's where the tornado watch is. So taking a look at radar, it doesn't look anything crazy as of right now. That watch might be expiring here in the next little bit. The only tornado warning we do have is up in central Iowa right now.
Yeah, so we will continue to watch that area of hail down in Arkansas, but we're watching this area over here in Iowa of this storm that's pushing through and has shown some potential of some tornado possibilities as it was circling, and there was some reports of power flickering as well as some debris. The debris signature on the radar was very interesting, and so I'm going to turn over to Robert, and Robert's going to walk us through what we see right now.
Right, we're looking at the velocity here on this storm, and we are seeing, again, we do have that tornado warning still in effect right now, and this is going to be in effect for at least the next 15 minutes with this thunderstorm as it moves further off towards the north and east here in Iowa. It's the last storm we've been watching today, so we're really just watching this one. There is a line behind it that we do know is going to have a chance for some severe gusts here as it makes its way further east into central Iowa. But as right now we're looking here at Grinnell, you're a little bit east for this storm. Here's the circulation we're watching. What you're looking at is the greens and reds here on the radar. Your greens and reds are with reference to the radar which direction your winds are going. So we look at some greens next to reds because what that shows us is your winds are going towards your radar here, and your winds are going away from your radar here. So if you kind of look at the way your winds are going, it's kind of the circulation here. So we're looking for that rotation on the radar, and as you can see, it's not exactly well defined at the moment. But the Weather Service has warned this storm with the tornado warning because they are concerned that even though it's not immediately well defined, it could still spin up because we are in a favorable environment for tornadoes. So right now, we are watching this storm as it moves off towards the north and east. To put you with some idea of where this storm is in reference to some of the other storms in the area, we're looking at Interstate 80, Grinnell, Newton. It's a little bit between Grinnell and Newton here with this storm here. We have Kellogg, Iowa Highway 224, and we also have US Route 6, Oakland Acres. So that's the area we're looking for the rotation. So we're watching for this storm as we are looking for all these roads here. We're really looking to see where this area of circulation is in here. So again, not exactly immediately tight rotation with this storm, but we are watching for the chance for some of the rotation for this to potentially develop. So again, we are watching this thunderstorm as it's moving through Oakland Acres. Here's the inbounds and outbounds here. If you are in this storm here, really the main 100% thing we're watching here for this storm is the chance for some of that rotation to really wrap up. So I'm going to pass things off to Ryan real quick, just talk a little bit more about this storm.
Yeah, sure. So again, we've got that rotation going on. We've got, a lot of, we've got wind moving away from the radar, wind moving towards the radar, and when that comes together, that's what we're going to be dealing with in way of rotation. So it's going to be right near I-80, State Highway 6, 224. Aaron's going ahead and circling that area of rotation right near I-80 for you. It's going to be moving near Oakland Acres and Kellogg, kind of right in between as it's moving to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. So we've got a lot of, radar displays going on. If we want to go ahead and just switch over to reflectivity, and we can kind of see what's going on in way of, that. And then we can track through time our radar for us. So, we've got this long line of severe storms moving through. We've got, this whole line kind of in central Iowa. That's our only tornado warning right now. And then this whole yellow box, that's our tornado watch. So we've got areas like Waterloo starting to see it as we move closer. As we go through tonight, we're going to be talking about areas like getting in Illinois. So we're going to be talking about Rockford, the Quad Cities, as the storm system kind of just pushes its way. Now, it does seem like the severe threat is ramping down. But for more on that, I'm going to pass things over to meteorologist Robert Zott.
Right, thanks, Ryan. Again, we are watching the chance for the severe threat to decrease throughout the rest of the night because instability is the main factor we're watching here. That provides your fuel for your storms to develop. And as we get into the night, we have less sunshine available. Of course, as the sun sets, there's no more sunshine heating the earth, and that's what you need for your instability to form. So again, we're watching this one storm right here just west of Grinnell, moving off towards the north and east. We do have that line behind it, which we'll get to in a second, but I want to get back to this storm right here. If we could put velocity on just to show what we're looking at for the circulation here, see the state of it. And really, honestly, I think that we're really starting to see a situation where it's starting falling apart at the moment. Now, I want to emphasize, these storms can cycle. So even though it's falling apart right now, and even though it's going to generally a region with less instability, it can still wrap up and produce a tornado. So that's why the Weather Service still has a warning here. Kellogg, you should pretty much be in the clear at this point. It's off towards your east, moving off towards the north and east. But if you are anywhere along Iowa Route 146, north of US Route 6, east of Iowa 224, east of Iowa 14, north of US 80, that's what we're watching for that area of circulation. But again, starting to weaken a little bit. That's not our primary concern as much right now. If you could zoom out a little bit here and look at that primary line behind it, I'm starting a little concerned with this line back here. As it starts to really weaken, it's going to produce very gusty winds out ahead of it. So if you can put reflectivity on here, and just show you what the line looks like. West of Des Moines, we have what were discrete supercells earlier starting to congeal into a bigger line here. What the concern is with this is, as we get later into the night here and they congeal into a line and they start to sort of fall apart, they can bring very gusty winds with them, and it could have even a severe threat as we're getting later into the night, because all of these winds really converge together and provide a really gusty to a severe level wind threat there. And not ruling out the chance for an isolated tornado to pop up in this line as well. That's why we have this white or this yellow box behind us, which is the tornado watch, still in effect for much of the Des Moines area. The Des Moines area here for the city of Des Moines, south of Ames, not including the city of Ames itself, Chariton, Grinnell, where the tornado warning has been allowed to expire there. So again, Weather Service starting to see that rotation weaken a little bit, allowing that rotation to expire, but don't let your guard down. These storms can still produce tornadoes. Chariton, Ottumwa, Seymour, a little bit west of Whatcheer, Grinnell, US 80, and of course the Interstate 80 corridor and the Interstate 35 corridor is really the primary area we're watching for this tornadic development, anywhere east of this line, and any storms that form out in front of it. But it's going to be a difficulty to form storms out ahead of it at the moment, just because we don't have a lot of instability out here. I would be keeping my eye on some of these storms out here just to see what happens with them. We already saw that chance of that tornado earlier. Some of these storms have been relatively long tracked. So these storms have come from Nebraska earlier and parts of Kansas where they had that chance of a tornado previously. These are, of course, the remnants of some of the storms from earlier in Nebraska as well. So we're still keeping that in mind as these storms move forward. But I want to take us back down to the south and see what's going on with that chance for hail with that storm down closer towards the Louisiana-Arkansas area, because we are seeing that chance for up to 1 inch, 1.5 inches of hail with some of the storms in that region. I know we have only one severe storm at the moment, but still, a bit of a concern for us as we're moving through the night here, because a lot of people are already tucked in for the night. If you already have went to bed, might not necessarily be paying attention to these storms, and we do still have that threat for some large hail here. So your yellow down here, including Texarkana, Atlanta, Mount Pleasant, parts of Arkansas and Louisiana, that is the tornado watch. So this warning is actually out ahead of that. This tornado threat has definitely decreased, but we are still seeing a chance for some hail. So this is some medium-sized hail we're watching just north of Richmond. This is Arkansas Route 32. This is US Route 59, Ashdown, Arden, Wallace, anywhere in that area. That's what we're watching for this storm right now. If we can go on reflectivity real quick just to see what this storm looks like on there. We're seeing about 1 inch of hail with this storm, so not crazy large, but still concerning enough that if you're outside, you do want to be indoors when this storm moves through. So again, Ashdown, Wilton, gonna need you to be in your safe spaces just because this is not something you want to be driving through outside right now. I know it's dark outside, 10:19 Central Time. It's going to be something where you're not expecting a storm around, possibly because you might have expected the storm's already moved through. So this could surprise you, and that's why we're just trying to make sure everyone is informed with this storm. For velocities, I'm not seeing a lot on there that's worrying me at the moment. Not a lot of rotation on this storm. That's why the Weather Service has a severe thunderstorm warning for hail and damaging winds, and some gusty winds that we could have from at 2 up to 40 miles per hour, but not something, maybe even 50 miles per hour, not something we're concerned with the immediate tornado threat with this storm as much. Not to say there won't be, but at the moment, not as concerned about that as some of the storms up in Iowa that have some of that better rotational situation with them as well. So again,
this is our only severe warning right now. Our tornado warning has been allowed to expire. So this is the only severe warning we have in the U.S. right now, and it's that severe thunderstorm warning near Ashdown. We do have some good hail associated with this, but it's going to be near Ashdown, moving at about 35 miles per hour. We're talking about possible 2-inch diameter hail. The National Weather Service is saying, be on the lookout for a tornado, and this is also a considerable threat to the severe thunderstorm warning. As we take a look at the hail track, we can go back in time and just see how long this system has been producing hail and how big the hail got a little bit ago as we move across the state line from Arkansas into Louisiana. Just some large hail associated with this severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, as we look at that hail area, as we continue to look at it here, it's kind of tracked up northward as this storm has been moving northward. As we continue to look at it, it had its strongest hail percentage here down to the south. North of, it looks like Interstate 30 as well as Highway 82 was where it had its highest amount of hail here. But as that storm has continued to push through and as it started to lose some of its energy, that hail size has started to decrease. But it is still bringing some damaging hail to that area, so you need to be aware of the damage that it can cause. And it is still bringing a good amount of rain with it. So if you are in those areas, continue to stay indoors, away from outdoor. And it continues. We have an update here as the hail tracker has seen that there is some hail in the area of Ashdown. So if you are in their area, make sure to remain indoors as there is some hail in the area that can damage roofs and other property areas. So continue to watch out for it, as it looks like we're going to try to get an estimate here of how big that hail is.
Looks like it's probably about half an inch if I had to. Right, about 0.6.
0.6, yeah, and that's a radar estimate. But as that storm continues to push through, it's going to continue to get weaker and weaker, and so that hail size is going to start to decrease. But it is still bringing rain. It's still bringing some strong gusts with it. So we're going to continue to watch that.
This image here was at 10:55, so just before 11 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, when the radar was picking up about 2-inch diameter hail. So this storm has the history of producing some large hail. Right now it appears to be more about half-inch diameter hail, but definitely at time was producing some large hail, and now as the storm moves off to east, it seems the hail core is starting to weaken a little bit, but again, a storm is still a severe thunderstorm as it's going to be moving near Ashdown, and it's just going to be working its way further across. I believe that's Arkansas that we're going to be looking at. Robert?
Right. We are seeing, again, one thing I want to sort of mention here with this large amount of storms we have is now we're transitioning to a bit of a flooding threat. We could zoom out a little bit here to the whole region, and we saw these are the remnants of these severe thunderstorms that originally formed southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth and then moved off towards the northeast. So where these storms are starting to train now over Arkansas and Louisiana, we are going to have a little bit of that flood threat as well. We do have some remnants from those storms earlier in Kansas that are now in Illinois, and of course those threats in Iowa as well. We have 3 active tornado watches, one in northeast Texas, southwest Arkansas, and then I believe there might be a parish or 2 in Louisiana, but that might have been clipped as well. We have 2, really it's just 1 active tornado watch in Iowa as well. It's for portions of south central Iowa and including Des Moines as well. So we talked about the storm that was severe now for that hail threat. That hail threat's really starting to come down with that storm, so we're not as worried about that. Really what the situation, the setup we had today was an enhanced risk over most of the Central Plains. Now here's tomorrow's severe weather risk. It's for many of the same areas, including Wichita and parts just southeast of Lincoln. We have that enhanced risk as well, and we had that in effect for Dallas additionally. So we're looking for this future satellite radar going into Saturday. Many of those storms picking up along much of the same areas. Large hail, damaging winds, and possibly a few tornadoes, all possible with the system. But as I mentioned a few minutes ago, flooding is also a threat we're looking for as well. With these amount of storms we had today, many storms training over the same area tomorrow, I would not be surprised to see some flash flood watches, possibly some warnings out tomorrow if we have these storms training over the same area. So number 1, turn around, don't drown. Make sure if you are going towards a flooded area, you don't drive through it. Make sure to be safe. Second thing is, of course, for tomorrow, we want to remind you tornado safety precautions. And for today, for these storms in Iowa as well, tornado safety precautions. Make sure you're heading towards your lowest level interior room, a basement if you have one, but if you don't, outside, somewhere away from those outside walls and windows near the center of that house. Here's a really helpful graphic to show you where that is. A hall, somewhere in the center, a closet will also do. That bathroom, I don't know if I'd necessarily put that in green as much just because it has that outside wall there. That hall is really your best situation there for, and that closet as well, for being at the center of your house. You want to be as far away from those outside walls, far away from your outside walls and windows as possible. Your best place, if you have one, is a basement. I know many in parts of Texas and Oklahoma don't necessarily have basements. Some have storm shelters. That's also good. But if you have one, a basement's the best place for that. Here's some terminology just to keep you updated. Make sure you know what you're listening to because you need to be able to take action successfully. You need to know what you're listening to. So when you see a tornado watch issued, that just means the ingredients are in place for potential tornadoes to happen. So imagine you're making a cake and you have all your ingredients out. The cake has not been made yet, but you have your ingredients there. You have the eggs, you have the milk, you have the butter, you have the flour, everything is there. But then a tornado warning means all those ingredients have been put together and they've been baked and now the cake is ready. That means a tornado is either happening or it's about to happen. Basically, the storm has produced enough rotation to make it concerning enough that the National Weather Service has issued a warning. This means that it's go time. You need to be going to that safe space. That interior room, away from outside walls and windows, or basement is best. When we see emergency, we unfortunately actually saw 2 of these today in Nebraska. That is for that situation when you see a tornado warning that has a tornado that's confirmed and poses a significant threat to life and property. So we're talking about very, very severe tornadoes, and you don't see emergencies quite often. You see them quite rarely. Unfortunately, we did see 2 today. So looking at our local radar right here for the Arklatex regions, we do see still a few storms in the area. This one's severe in Arkansas. Around the Texarkana area, just north of Texarkana, has a little bit of hail. I wouldn't call it large, but we do have some gusty winds, and a new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued for this storm between Louisiana and Arkansas here. North of Farmerville, it includes the city of Opeel along US 82, Cressette, a little bit west of you, a little bit east of El Dorado, a little bit east of Junction City as well. So if you're driving on US 167, you should be fine with respect to this storm. But if you're east of that, that's where we start to get concerned about you being in the path of this storm. For the hail tracker, let's see if you could put a number on that and see how large that is. But I expect that to be somewhere in the range of around an inch here, because that's what we're looking at for that severe criteria to be met, and our radar is estimating basically right around an inch. So it's starting to get a little larger on this storm. It has been intensifying a little bit. Gusty winds also a threat with this storm as it moves little bit north and east outside of Louisiana. If you could put the details for this warning on, just so I can make sure everyone's aware with the timing and the threats with this storm as it moves north and east. But we are watching. Again, US 82, I want to make sure that you are knowing if you are traveling west of Cressette or east of El Dorado, anyone in that area, you're going to be going straight through the path of this storm. So just pull off to the side of the road, a gas station or somewhere in El Dorado or Cressette, and just wait about 30 minutes for the storm to pass, and you should be fine. I just want to make sure that...
But this severe thunderstorm warning is for Union, Arkansas, and Union Parish, Louisiana, and it's going to be going until 11:15. So
perfect.
About another 45 minutes.
Perfect. So 11:15 Central Time. Our time up here is for our studios in Tallahassee, so this is Eastern Time. 11:15 Central Time for Union Parish in Louisiana and Union County in Arkansas. So that should be another about 45 minutes for you guys there. So just, again, nothing to worry about here. Just make sure you're inside, you're not driving during this storm, and maybe some hail and gusty winds possible with this storm. If we can go back to reflectivity here, and also after that look at velocity just to see if there are any threats with that. Here's a reflectivity where you see those high areas of purple. That's where you're starting to see that chance for hail, because when you have high values of what we call reflectivity on radar, that is usually corresponding to that chance for hail within a storm, just because of the way the reflectivity picks up on that. So that area right just east of Spearsville and a little bit west of Marion is that area where we're really watching for that highest area of hail potential. And that's going to track north and east towards Lapeal and US 82 in Arkansas. So if we can now flip to velocity real quick and see what the rotation or any sort of gusty winds are looking like on the radar at the moment, we can sort of keep people updated there. And that is definitely looking a little bit interesting. So we're watching for the radars towards the southwest here. Your winds are going this direction with your greens, and they're going this direction with your reds right there. So we're seeing that area of counterclockwise rotation, what you're looking for most tornadoes. And City of Conway, I'm going to want you to be inside your safe shelter right now, because this could start to be tightened up and provide that chance for a tornado there. Truck snow just south of you. It's moving a little bit off towards the north and east there. So Louisiana Highway 348, just to give you guys an idea of where this area of rotation is. And this is what we're looking for an area of what could be tightening rotation. No tornado warning on it yet, because the National Weather Service is not quite confident yet. It would get to that point, and as we talked about earlier, the reasons you get to a warning is because it means the tornado is either about to form or it's right there. We aren't to that point just yet, but if you are in Conway or if you're in truck snow, anywhere in this area east, you need to be inside your safe shelters right now. I would say just better be safe than sorry. Make sure you're in that lowest level interior room away from those outside walls and windows, or a basement if you have one. If we could put a loop on this just to see the progression as this rotation has happened, and zoom us out just a little bit so we can see the whole storm, because I know it's been coming from the south here, and that is definitely something I'm concerned about, just because you watch this rotation as you're moving up from the southwest here, and it really starts to tighten up in those last scans or two there. You see these higher, these lighter greens and these lighter reds compared to your darker greens and darker reds. That means you have some pretty strong winds with this storm right here as it's starting to tighten up. Again, just to make some orientation here, Louisiana Highway 549, Louisiana Highway 33. These are all areas, highways you're not going to want to be on with this storm because they're straight in the path. A little bit northeast of Louisiana Highway 15, that's basically where that area cuts off there for the warning. And a rotation tracker showing that rotation increasing in those last one or two scans here as we basically essentially get to the city of Conway. So again, that's why we're emphasizing city of Conway, just be in that safe shelter right now. Better to be safe than sorry with this storm. Louisiana 15, Louisiana 550. Again, just make sure you are not driving on any of these highways right now, because even if you don't have an area of immediate rotation, you do have some heavy rain and large hail threat with this storm as it's moving in that direction here. Let's zoom out real quick here and just see all the storms that we have at the moment. Just sort of go through, make sure take stock of everything we have going on, make sure everyone's informed. All of the storms here, the only one we're watching is this one on the border of Louisiana and Arkansas, with all these storms nearby this tornado watch here. We will keep an eye on the other ones as well, but the only one we have an immediate threat for is that one in Union County and Union Parish. Let's go up to Iowa real quick just to see what is happening with the storms up there. And we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment. We do still have that tornado watch in effect, and I do want to still keep our eye on some of these storms here because that severe damaging wind gust threat and that threat for some possible spin-up tornadoes as well. But Matthew, want to take us back to that storm in Louisiana and Arkansas and just keep us updated on what's going on with that storm
I'm
there.
actually going to pan it over to Aaron so he can show us the power outage as well as the future cast for tomorrow and where those severe chances, the worst of those, will be for those areas tomorrow.
That's right, Matthew. I just wanted to give a quick update here on our power outage map. You can see, for the most part, most areas in Iowa are not terrible right now in terms of the power outages right now. However, there are some areas across Iowa, namely Shelby County, more rural counties here, Ringgold County, and then over towards at least more southeastern counties. The best, but we're now having an issue, of course, with power outages. So here you can see, for example, we have about 900 people or so without power in Ringgold County right now. This means that, of course, a lot of folks, of course, in more rural counties have more issues.
What's the problem? Can't hear.
Issued for that storm there in Union Parish and Union County in Louisiana and Arkansas. Again, that rotation really increasing there. That's what we picked up on at the moment there. You can really see that tightening up in that moment, or in that region right there, just west of the city of Conway. So we want you to be inside that lowest level interior room right now, because this is a very tightening area of rotation just west of the city of Conway. Let's zoom in really tight here and get on some of the roads that we have nearby Conway. So Louisiana 549, your rotation is just to the west here. We're probably about to get a new scan here in the next minute or two, so we'll see the direction and the strength of this rotation. Louisiana 33, anywhere just west of the city of Marion. Louisiana 51, Arkansas 129, city of Huttig. So anywhere in this region, this polygon right here that I just named, any roads or cities in that area that you know of, make sure you are inside that lowest level interior room right now. I know we say those 4 words a lot. What do I mean by that? Basically, you want to be as close to the center of your house or building as possible. If you're driving out on the road, get to a gas station or somewhere you can get to that has a restroom or something at the center. You're providing space for you from this tornado to keep you safe from it. So again, lowest level of your house, as close to the center of that house as possible. So somewhere like a closet or a hall at the center of that house right there. That's what you're looking for that area to be the safest area from the tornado. And finally, if you do have a basement, that's your best place. But let's get back to that tornado warning real quick, just to show you where that area of rotation is. You do have a little bit of a notch here. That's where you're seeing, when we point out a notch, that means that there's strong inflow winds into the storm. It's feeding the storm and strengthening it as it has very strong moist inflow, providing that instability to fuel the storm in its development. So still a hail threat, still a gusty wind threat from this storm, but the immediate threat is that tornadic threat with this storm. That's why they have issued this tornado warning. And we do have a new scan here. Still some pretty good rotation here that we're watching, some good inbounds and outbounds here. Let's zoom back into this area of rotation right now, just because we do still have that area north of Conway. So it sort of started to move a little bit more north and east there. So city of Trucks know this circulation is about to be right on top of you. So I need you to be inside that shelter right now. So if you're in there, you saw this tornado warning get issued, you're like, I just don't know if it's going my way right now. I don't know if I need to wake up the kids. It's kind of late right now. It's 10:37. Just better be safe than sorry. Make sure you're taking care of your family, your kids. It only takes about 15 minutes to go through this process, to go into your safe shelter and wait for this to pass. It's better to just be safe than sorry and go right now, because this area of circulation is almost on top of you here. It's just to your south. It's going to be moving, basically, it was moving a little more northeast a few minutes ago. It's kind of added a little more northerly track to it, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it almost follow Louisiana 549 here. We are watching for the chance for debris. I don't see anything immediately concerning right here. We do see a signature for what could be some pretty good hail with this storm as it tracks towards the north and east here, but we aren't necessarily seeing an immediate chance for debris from this storm. So again, we are taking that chance. We don't want you to take that chance with these storms that you are going to put yourself in the way of that tornado. We need you to be inside your lowest level interior room. We need you to be taking this storm seriously. And if you're in the city of Trucks now, again, make sure you are going to a safe place right now. Again, let's look at that live velocity with this storm. The area of immediate concern right in here, about to cross Louisiana 549, with this storm at the moment. We're going to head back to Aaron real quick to give us some more updates on the overall situation with power outages and our future cast, and we'll keep you right updated here as updates come with this tornado warning. Aaron?
That's right, Robert. So I just wanted to give you all a update here on our power outages, what's going on right now. So you can see most of our power outages are occurring over our southeastern rural counties here across Iowa. For example, Shelby County right now has about 834 people without power. So that is a pretty good, that's about roughly half of the county here is without power. Well, I should say about a third, which is a good amount, but keep in mind these are more rural counties. So again, you run the risk of more trees, power lines. They tend to be more of an issue here. It doesn't take a tornado to actually cause power outages, of course. You can have damaging straight line winds as well that can cause issues with blowing trees over and sometimes even be worse than individual tornadoes, of course, because tornadoes are a single point while damaging straight line winds, especially along a squall line like what we've been seeing tonight, especially now that a lot of these supercells are becoming more what we call quasi-linear here. They tend to create more and kind of spread out the risk of damaging straight line winds across much of or at least of a greater area. So again, we'll kind of bring you through a few of our counties here. So Ringgold County, about 900 or so folks without power out of 3,500 or so. Shelby County, about 834 out of about 2,800 without power. And then again, some of our more southeastern counties again have the greatest percentage here without power. So we'll actually take you here to the Storm Prediction Center, kind of what they're predicting for the rest of tonight into tomorrow. You can see the enhanced risk we saw earlier, which is the level 3 out of 5, has been significantly trimmed down, and that indicates that we're having at least less instability for the storms to work with. So right now, the biggest threat in terms of where we're looking at, in terms of where the storms might perhaps be more strongest at, which we've been seeing that over the course of the past few hours or so, is around central Iowa, where we do have a small enhanced risk, but that likely will probably kind of cap down over the next several hours. We have to lose the heating of the day. We lose the energy and what these storms actually can use in terms of like the fuel to actually grow throughout the rest of the day. So a lot of the storms are out there right now have actually existed before, but they're just starting to kind of wind down. That's why we have more of a what we call a QLCS kind of a setup rather than an actual supercell kind of a thing, what we saw earlier, of course, with those bigger tornadoes. So again, the main threat for tornadoes is going to be, for the most part, over Iowa. It's where we have the greatest wind shear right now. Only takes a little bit of wind shear to actually cause that. And what wind shear is actually is a change of wind speed and direction here over a certain distance and height. That's what we tend to look at to actually allow for these updrafts to actually spin and tilt and allow for these to go down to the ground. That's what we potentially could be looking at for tornadoes. But again, the greatest risk of that is going to be, for the most part, over west central Iowa, at least for the remainder of the time here. And then again, however, you cannot rule out perhaps a tornado over down the whole line, down all the way through about central Texas, the hill country in central Texas here. But again, anywhere along this long list, you need to be watching just in case that your local National Weather Service does issue a tornado warning. Now for wind, our greatest risk is going to be, again, for the most part, from about Iowa down through about Texas, where we have, again, the more of the QLCS type of setup here. Again, these can create serious issues with damaging straight line winds, and which can topple down power lines as well as trees onto perhaps roofs and can cause even some minor damage as well. So it doesn't take a tornado to do this, as I just mentioned here, folks. And then hail, the greatest risk for right now is going to actually be in that enhanced risk here, where we have the 30% hatched area of hail, which means that our greatest risk, we have the stronger updrafts, which makes sense around the enhanced risk. Our strongest updrafts are going to be, for the most part, in that region, which implies that, of course, these actual thunderstorms can still have a little bit of some momentum in there in terms of like able to keep these hailstones up at least the upper part of the thunderstorm, and they can, of course, fall as hail. So again, you want to watch out for that. Even if you are underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, you still want to treat it like a tornado. You want to go to a center part of your house or your home, where again, even a severe thunderstorm warning can still cause, of course, these damages, right? So you do want to watch out for that. And I'm kind of at least give you a little bit of a reason why we're kind of starting to see these storms die down a little bit. So you can see if we take a sounding, which is what we use to actually measure the at least a lot of parameters in the atmosphere all the way up. This helps us. This gets ingested in our computer models, which actually helps us to kind of predict the future here. So if we use one of our more high-resolution models here, what we call the NAM, you can see that ahead of the storms we have good rotation in winds and height. This implies that we have good wind shear here out ahead of the storms. So again, it allows for these thunderstorms to actually use these and spin, of course, and that's what we want to look out for in case of potentially the risk of tornadoes. But if we go behind the storms here, take a sample here. So as these storms kind of go by, you can see behind the storms we have a decrease in risk of any kind of a tornado threat. That's because our rotation here is a lot lower. As you can see, the winds for the most part only rotate slightly here from the ground upwards, and also what we call our CAPE, or instability, or the fuel that our storms can use, also significantly diminishes here as we have the storms that kind of use it up here, at least as they progress through. But overall, this computer model is showing these storms are kind of continuing overnight, and they'll eventually die off as we get to the early morning hours here on your Saturday mornings. By the time we get to about sunrise on Saturday, for the most part, most of the convection should be over Michigan and over into Pennsylvania and into the Great Lakes. And for the most part, over in towards the Midwest should remain relatively more stable in terms of that we shouldn't expect any more of these deep thunderstorms, these severe prone thunderstorms. For the most part, that should table overnight. However, we still have a little bit of a spin here across Minneapolis. That's kind of our area of low pressure here. That will continue, at least kind of going up to the north and east here. At least those thunderstorms over that area should, for the most part, remain relatively stable as well. So we shouldn't expect any kind of the way of severe weather in those areas, and that will continue off towards the northeast. However, what we are looking for is, of course, later tomorrow, as we potentially have the risk of more storms that could fire up, of course, across the Central Plains, which is what Robert was mentioning earlier, too, with that highlighted area of enhanced risk tomorrow across the Central Plains. That's what we'll be looking at tomorrow. Here from about Nebraska, Kansas, over down into Oklahoma is potentially where we could be watching round 2 of severe weather. But we'll take one look at the wall here to kind of see if there's any more updates on radar. Once that can be pulled up here in a sec. As again, mostly for the most part, the weather is starting to die down as we have, of course, not as much heating of the day. It's allowing for these storms to kind of just use up the remaining energy that we have. So Matthew, we'll send it back to you here.
Yeah, as we get the radar pulled up here, as you can see, the storm still has a little bit of the green and red mix. But for the most part, it looks like it's tapering off and just moving northeast, out northeast, out towards Lapel area. As it continues to push through, be aware of the winds that come with this storm, as there are some strong gusts, as well as there is a lot of rain that is coming with this system. So be aware of all of the precipitation and strong weather that is coming with this storm and what it is bringing. So if we can pull up the Futurecast radar for tomorrow, as we look at what is going to happen tomorrow in the Midwest area as well as into the southeast, you can see this band is going to that's flying in right now, as well as the storms over the St. Louis and Iowa area. As we push into tomorrow, it's going to start firing up right around that dinner time area. You're going to start seeing, these storms push through Wichita and back up into Omaha, as well as some storms that'll push further out past into Chicago, some light storms. But a lot of this weather will be in this area closer to Wichita area, maybe a pan down a little bit more into Oklahoma. As it pushes through, that'll bring a lot of strong severe weather, so it'll look similar to what it was today with its strong weather in those same areas. So as Robert has already expertly said, there is some concern for flash floods tomorrow with all the rainfall in areas that have already seen a tremendous amount of rainfall today, as well as the damages that a lot of these places have received from the weather. So we got to be aware of that. Make sure to take precautions tomorrow if you are out tomorrow night. Make sure that you are aware of the rainfall in the area and the flash flood possibility that could happen. And as we push into Sundays, you're going to see this just fuel of storms that are going to push through right here down in Memphis and the Dallas area. Strong batch of storms that'll push through here overnight, or Sunday night actually. It's going to push through. You got strong storms here. You got some on the front here, and you also have some more precipitation on the back end of it. So some chances for some strong levels of rain, as well as some hail, and possibly a couple of tornadoes are possible in this little power cell that's going to be pushing through here. So be aware of that when you are going out Sunday night and making plans for Monday. Be aware of the flash flood possibility with all the rainfall you will get this weekend. So make sure you are aware of that. And there will also be some rainfall in those northern areas of Omaha and Iowa, as that second low pressure system is going to push in Saturday night and Sunday, as well. As you can see over here, it's going to push in over here by Chicago area. You're going to see some rain pushing in. So be aware of that. Make sure that you are taking the precautions needed for those storms to stay safe. As you can see, this line is just going to line up right through here, St. Louis stretching up into Chicago and down south as well. So be aware of what those storms will bring, the rain, the wind, and the possibility of some severe weather, which may or may not include some tornadoes. But make sure you are aware of that weather and what it will bring to the table. As we go look back at our watch right now that is going on in Arkansas, we're going to pull that back up and just look at that one more time and see what that is. It's still that strong thunderstorm right now with a lot of rain over it, so that area will be seeing some precipitation. And as that radar goes over, you're going to see some pink areas. So be aware there is the possibility of some hail in this as well. So make sure that you are taking shelter in that highway. It looks like 275 and 82 area. Be aware of that. It looks like there is a little bit of hail over here on it looks like State Road 551. Some small hail, about 2.2 inches. So just be aware of that. But it still can cause damages. It is still not safe really to be outside. So make sure that you are inside and aware of this weather as it pushes through, as it continues to push through into this area and northward up into these northern sections. Make sure you are aware of what this weather will bring in case you need to take shelter. Continue to monitor what the weather is going to do in this area, and we will continue to watch it as well as this warning. Hopefully will taper out as the system continues to push through. As you can see, you got the red and the yellow and green as well. It looks like maybe if we can show the velocity here, it looks like the winds are tapering out here. There's not a lot of left for any rotation here. You're still going to have some strong gusts, it looks like, but it doesn't look like there's a whole lot left for any rotation in this area. So continue to watch over that area, and we'll continue to watch as this warning hopefully plays out, as well as this watch continues to play out, and hopefully it will taper out and they will be allowed to expire as we look at everything else. Robert, why don't you take us through what you see in this area?
Right, really what we're watching for here is that area of rotation. If you've been watching us earlier, I talked about those inbounds, outbounds, what we're looking for here. If we could just zoom out just a tad to get this full polygon in here, we're seeing an absence of those areas of inbound and outbounds for that tightened rotation. So I will be generally expecting for this tornado warning to expire at this point. The area of rotation that we saw spin up very quickly, as you saw earlier, has really started to weaken a little bit very quickly now. So that can really be the cycle with these kind of storms. They can spin up very quickly and then they can sort of fall apart. That's why we're trying to keep you very updated with these storms right now, is because they can pose a serious tornadic threat within a minute or two after really developing that mesocyclone, that area of rotation, that storm earlier, and then they can fall apart just like we saw with this one here. So this is the primary concern for us still, even though that tornadic rotation has really fallen off. We do have that area for gusty winds, and we do have the area chances for a little bit on the smaller hail size. So let's zoom this all the way out and see what our overall situation is at the moment here with these storms. We do have, again, overall, this is the severe thunderstorm we're watching. There's nothing else on the radar that we're watching severe-wise. So if you are anywhere else in the country right now, just know there are some spots, like these tornado watches in Iowa and these tornado watches in Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas, with some storms out ahead of it, that we are watching. But all in all, the threat has mostly diminished for everyone outside of that one storm that is straddling the Arkansas-Louisiana border, and of course a few of these storms up in Iowa. Let's just zoom in quickly on those in Iowa just to keep you guys updated on where we are with those. Not severe at the moment, and there was a little bit of rotation in a few of those storms earlier. That has sort of fallen off, so we're not immediately concerned about those. And then we do have that storm or two out ahead of that line there. So let's just zoom in on that real quickly here at the moment with these storms that we're seeing right now in Iowa. We do have a few of those storms just north of Des Moines producing some pretty heavy rainfall for you along Interstate 35. So if you're traveling right now at 10:52 Central Time, make sure you are pulling off to the side of the road before you get through the storm, because even though you might say, well, it's not a severe thunderstorm, I do need to drive right now, I need to get there quicker, and it's still going to be pretty dangerous conditions to drive in, because where you have heavy rain on top of those areas where you've seen some of those situations where you had heavy rain earlier today, you can have ponding, and you can have to start to worry about those conditions with hydroplaning. So that's something I need to emphasize there. As you're traveling when it gets dark, some of these conditions do start to deteriorate. So all in all, I do want to emphasize that you can see very dangerous conditions with a few of these storms as you do drive on the road. So when you see a storm ahead of you with heavy rain, even though it might not necessarily have a severe thunderstorm warning with it, it can have the risk sometimes for some heavy rainfall with these storms, and they can cause very perilous driving conditions. So we're watching for, with this storm, we do have a tornado warning in effect. It's probably going to be allowed to expire at this point because the rotation has certainly decreased with this storm. We do have the severe thunderstorm warning here with this thunderstorm as well. That will probably still stay in effect for a little while longer because we have some gusty winds and some small hail possible with this storm. But all in all, we are not seeing an immediate threat for us at the moment for more severe weather from any of these storms. We could see some of them start to spin up with some of that heavier rainfall, some of those gusty winds, maybe some small and medium-sized hail, and possibly a tornado or two, just because some of that rotation is still apparent. So let's zoom back out a little bit and just see what the general situation is in the Louisiana-Arkansas area. We have this storm right here. There's a few more storms around it. So we have this one to its northeast near Cressette. That's also going to be causing some issues with heavy rainfall. There was a special weather statement out for that storm earlier. A few storms behind, one just south of El Dorado, one by Camden, that area up towards your northwest there. You see a few storms there, none severe at the moment. Let's zoom out a little more and move a little bit towards the west a little bit. In the Texoma region, we have this one storm that we're watching for you guys near Paris and by Clarksville. So this is going to be producing some heavy rain along US 82 and US 271, a little bit east of you there, along the Red River here. We do still have that thunderstorm there. No hail at the moment with this, which is always a good sign because, of course, this is a region of the country that sees a lot of large hail, so you are very battered by that quite often, and these storms don't need to be producing any more of that. So it's a good sign, no large hail with it at the moment. We'll use some gusty winds and possibly some heavy rain with this storm. So we'll keep watching on it as it moves off towards the northeast into the Oklahoma portion of Texoma there, into just east of Hutto nearby Idabel and parts of McCurtain County for you there as it moves through Lamar County and Red River County here in Texas. So we're going to zoom out just a little more here for you guys. And then we have one storm near Broken Bow, a few of those showers there. Let's move up to Iowa, though, real quickly, because I think we've pretty much exhausted the storms there that we're watching. For the primary concerns near Texoma and the Arklatex. For Iowa here, these showers and thunderstorms are your primary concern here. Waterloo, not immediate threat for anything severe. These storms along the I-35 corridor and a few more cells that are just south of Des Moines along the I-35 corridor are that primary concern for us there. These out ahead of that line were producing that tornado threat earlier. We actually had some pretty good long track tornado warnings on them for a while, but that has decreased as the instability has overall decreased with us here with this setup. So again, these showers and thunderstorms along the I-35 corridor are posing that biggest threat for damaging winds, possibly up to maybe 40, 50 miles per hour, possibly up to 60 miles an hour, maybe some gusty winds with those, maybe some medium to small-sized hail, and some heavy rain, which will make driving conditions very treacherous as you go north of Des Moines and also south of Des Moines on Interstate 35. And then some of that rain also making its way into the Des Moines area with you there as well. So those are the primary concerns with those storms. We do see, again, those ones in the Texoma region and the Arklatex region. Those are the primary ones we're watching for in that area. We do still have these tornado watches in effect. So this one's here for Iowa and most of south central Iowa, including the city of Des Moines there. And we do still have that tornado watch effect for parts of Texas, but most of the storms have moved past that watch. They have not extended it yet, and at this point, because of the lack of instability in the region, we'll likely see that tornado watch being allowed to expire with those counties in Texas and parts of Arkansas. So that's what we're watching for mostly with that system there. Again, these are the counties west of the storm that are in that watch. They have not extended that, even though most of the storms are now east of that. So that really signals to us that the Storm Protection Center not extremely concerned about most of these storms out ahead of it. They can still be severe, and there is still even technically a tornado warning here, even though the rotation has really fallen off. So you do still want to be taking this seriously. As I said earlier, they can spin up quickly. So even though the rotation hasn't happened here, I know we've been talking for the last hour about how instability is relatively insufficient for these storms, but this storm just formed its rotation within the last 15 minutes and then fell apart. So they still can pose that threat even in an environment where it's a little less favorable. For you in the cities of Appeal and Huttig, Louisiana 33 for you right there, Arkansas 275, US 82. Those are some of your roads in the path of this storm right there. But again, that tornado threat a little bit on the diminished side at the moment with this storm as it moves off towards the north and east at the moment. Still looks pretty mean on radar though, showing some of those higher reflectivity values, which means that you're getting some heavier rainfall rates there. And some of this back into the storm closer to Farmerville could pose a threat as well. So we're watching that because it looks to me a little bit like it could be strengthening just a tad bit on reflectivity there. Rotational, velocity-wise with the rotation though, that's not really seeing anything convincing with any of these storms. If we could just flip over to that real quickly with the velocity just to show what all these storms are sort of doing. And I don't see a ton of rotation at the moment on the velocity, which is an extremely good sign because we do not want rotation at any time, but especially not after dark because it's incredibly dangerous. A lot of people are already starting to get to bed and they can't receive warnings as easily as if they were awake and just watching their phones. So we really don't want any sort of tornado warnings right now. So we definitely hope that this one continues to fall apart. I see possibly a little bit of rotation north of Farmersville, some very, very broad rotation, but definitely nothing concerning at the moment with some of those inbounds and outbounds there along that Louisiana 15 corridor. And I'd say in this latest scan, it's sort of picked, or I believe this is a different radar scan. It looks somewhat interesting with that wind field there, but all in all, still not concerning enough to have an immediate warning there, immediate concern with that storm. We'll continue to watch that as we progress through the system here. Again, rotation tracker not picking up anything at all on that storm, so it just shows you here how little we have in the way of that tornadic development, and that warning has just been allowed to expire.
So with that severe so they went ahead, canceled the tornado warning, moved to the severe thunderstorm warning. And that severe thunderstorm warning will be going until 11:15 for Union County, Arkansas, and Union Parish, Louisiana. So now, just after midnight here on the East Coast and 11 o'clock on Central Time. So with that, no more tornado warnings issued as of right now. Of course, you want to stay weather aware as we go into the overnight hours, both today, tomorrow, and Sunday, looking at that nocturnal threat. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up our coverage here on FSU Weather. Just one last look at radar across the nation, and then we'll put our coverage to bed. Of course, you do want to stay weather aware as you move into the overnight hours, as tornado warning can develop at any time. Again, tornado watch still in effect in Iowa and in Arkansas. But Robert?
Right, thanks Ryan. Again, yeah, sort of wrapping things up here because the threat has definitely diminished over the last 30 minutes. I know we came on the air here, there were still quite a few tornado warnings in the Iowa region, and we did still have one or two down in Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, and now that has all but diminished at the moment. Again, really the threat here for some of these storms, some of them could spin up with that tornadic threat tonight. We're not completely ruling out the chance for a tornado to happen later. So that's why it's so incredibly important for you to make sure that you have your phone's alerts on. Not just that, but if you have a no weather radio, make sure that's turned on tonight. If you're in any of these watch areas or around any of these storms, just in case, to make sure you're aware, have multiple ways to receive those warnings. Because let's say your phone runs out of battery, or if your phone's charged, maybe it doesn't sound for some reason, make sure you have someone you can call that if they don't receive warnings, make sure you call them to let them know there's a tornado warning coming. You need to make sure you have that system set up, and if you aren't sure you'll get the warning, have someone call you. You know, have these kind of warning areas set up so you make sure you receive the warning, and if you do, go to that lowest level interior and get your pets, get your kids, get your family, everyone inside those areas, lowest level interior room, away from outside walls and windows. A hall or a bathroom or closet is best. And if you have one, a basement is the best place to go. But if you don't, hall, closet, or bathroom, that's where you want to go. So here is the setup we're watching here with all of these storms that we are seeing. Again, only that one severe thunderstorm warning, that tornado watch in Texas, as we mentioned earlier, likely to expire, that has been allowed to expire. We do have this tornado watch in Iowa here, but again, maybe just a little bit gusty winds, possibly some heavy rain, possibly a little bit of small hail here, nothing tornadic at the moment. But we're going to sign off with you guys here. If you have any reports for us, we are going to watch that there. I think that we'll just zoom in that real quick right before we sign off here to look at that one storm system there, because I do believe we actually have had a little bit of rotation increasing with that storm. As we mentioned, chance for a little bit of QLCS tornadoes coming in, sort of here and there. They can spin up very quickly and fall apart very quickly. That's sort of what we're watching tonight. That's why I really want to sort of emphasize having those warnings in place, because even though we are about to sign off here in just a little bit, we do want to make sure that you are staying aware and that these storms can really wrap up very quickly. So this actually does include the city of Des Moines. So this is actually a very highly populated area this tornado warning is about to move in towards here. If we could put rotation on here, on the velocity on here, just to look at what the storm is about to do as it moves right towards the city of Des Moines. This is Interstate 235 right through downtown Des Moines here. I believe the rotation is probably most likely somewhere right in here with this storm. So that's going to be tracking its way right into the center of Des Moines as it gets right into here. So if we could just put velocity on real quick just to see what this looks like with this storm. Again, this is not entirely surprising to us. Many of these storms, they can really spin up and fall apart very quickly. So we see this rotation right into here. It's just south of Urbandale. It's in West Des Moines, this area right here. You see some velocities. They don't look too scary here, but really the main reason the Weather Service has issued that warning is you see these lighter greens and these lighter reds right on top of each other in western Des Moines. So if we could zoom in a little further there and see some of those roads in that region, I can point you guys out where exactly the circulation is if you're in Des Moines right now. Iowa Highway 28, a little bit east of Clive, city of West Des Moines. That's where that rotation is at the moment. Interstate 235, I know this tracks right into downtown. So if you're traveling towards Des Moines on 235 from the west side, pull off before you get to this area of rotation, because this is our primary area that we're worried about for that tornadic development as it moves further east. Let's zoom out just a little bit and we'll show you what the storm looks like on reflectivity here with this system as it moves towards the city of Des Moines. Here's this area. It's a little bit messy on reflectivity here. It's a little harder to pick out, but it's just south of Urbandale where we're watching for that chance of some rotation. It's on the back end here where that could form and that could tighten up as you get towards the city of Des Moines. So this warning is just in effect for the city of Des Moines here. It also includes Bondurant and Altoona, which are just off towards the north and east, if it does hold together, because these kind of situations where you have less instability or later into the night here, they do have a harder time holding together. Not to say they won't, they definitely can have exceptions, but all in all, it is still harder for them to maintain that strength as you get later into the night. So this area right here, as it moves north and east, here's US 69, here's Interstate 80, Interstate 235, Interstate 35 over here. So if you're anywhere near any of these highways in central and eastern Des Moines, that's going to be our primary concern. Really come up on rotation tracker here in the last few scans. Our rotations considerably increased near the southern part of West Des Moines there along your Iowa State route there, north of Iowa 5 and east of Interstate 35 there for that rotation as it's increasing. So again, if you're in the city of Des Moines, I know some of you have basements in this area, that's the best case scenario for you right now. Fortunately for us, we have no debris right now on the debris tracker. What you're looking for here is somewhere in this area, which is the storm, basically this pink area right here, you want to see a very pronounced decrease in debris for this, or a decrease in your correlation coefficient values. That's the name of what we have here. You want to see some blacks or some blues for debris in here. Now when I say you want to see, it's what you're looking for. You obviously don't want debris to be happening here, but we don't see an immediate concern for debris here. That's a good sign for us tonight. We do not want these kind of situations where you have tornadoes forming after dark and many people not having that warning. I would say that area where you have what looks like possibly a little bit of rotation on the north side of that warning, southeast of Johnston there, honestly right on the Interstate 35, Interstate 80 area on the north side of Des Moines, that is definitely a concern for me. You see those inbounds going towards your radar there, and then you have what looks like almost a little bit of a divergent signal here. Your inbounds going towards your radar and outbounds going away from that. So that's not as big of a tornadic threat there, but this area right here, this is what I'd be concerned about in the northern part of the city of Des Moines. Right there, you have your inbounds and your outbounds going towards each other, and you could have a little bit of that convergence and a little bit of rotational convergence there. So when I say that, I basically just mean winds coming towards each other, and having a little bit of that rotation there. So it's in this area, it's not this one right here. It's this one right here along that just basically right along US or Interstate 80, Interstate 35, and that US 6 area right there. So we're going to put a track on you guys here just for this warning. It's 11:12 in Swanwood, and that's, of course, in Central Time because this is our studios with the clock up here is Eastern Time in Tallahassee. These times are in Central because it's the local time for Iowa. We're watching for the cities of Saylor, Bondurant, and Farrar for this area of circulation. It's looking like it's hugging the northern side of this warning right now, so if they do choose to extend it, I wouldn't be surprised if this box moves a little bit towards the north. Again, the area of circulation right here just towards the north of the center of Des Moines, that downtown area. So let's punch back in on that right there so I can name some roads for people where the area of circulation is right now. So south of the city of Ankeny, it's right along this area right here, just south of 35. By Swanwood, US 69 is here. Here's Iowa 415. We also have US 6. So that's the area we're concerned, right for that area of circulation. Let's switch back to velocity too, so I can point that out for you guys at the moment here. So just zoom out just a little bit here. Yes, okay, so we have this area we're watching here. It's just north of downtown. So downtown Des Moines, not as concerned for you as we were about 5 minutes ago, but we're still watching for this area of rotation just north of downtown Des Moines. So it's going to be somewhere right in here, moving out towards Saylor, Bossier, Altoona, Bondurant, and possibly Orleans. I'm not entirely convinced it'll make its way up that way based on its track at the moment, but really if you're anywhere in this area, including just north of downtown in Des Moines, you really need to be taking these precautions immediately, as soon as possible, and going to those safe spaces, taking those safe shelters with these storms, just because they can be so dangerous and they can wrap up so quickly with these storms here, especially at this time of the night when some people are already asleep. If you know someone in this area of Des Moines, and maybe you know someone in Des Moines, you're not sure what part of the city they're in, make sure just to call them. Send a text, but really call if you can, because a text might not be able to wake them up. And just tell them there is a tornado warning. You need to be taking those precautions right now, just in case. And we do have a little bit of hail with this storm too. Not the immediate threat with this storm, not as concerned about hail. We're seeing only about maybe a half an inch of hail here, possibly a little more with that. But that's still something to mention because it still can be damaging hail, still can be something that causes damage here with this storm. And it really to show you that the strongest core of the storm is in northern Des Moines right now. So not quite north of the Interstate 80 area, Interstate 80, Interstate 35, but it is still in that area where you have seen that rotation. And it's been a pretty long track over the last few hours here. This is where it came from by Winterset, and it's been just moving north and east very slowly over the last hour or two, and it's moved off into that direction there, and that's where we have that tornado warning right now. So again, these are the types of situations where you see rotation increase very quickly and then decrease very quickly. So that's why we're just trying to make sure you are attuned to everything that's happening here and you're aware of it, just because it can be a situation just like 5 minutes ago where we were saying there's not a lot of instability. There still isn't a lot of instability around, but these storms have been known to do so before, wrap up very quickly and produce those tornadoes very quickly. So that's why I want to make sure everyone's aware. When we sign off, we still want to make sure you are still staying attuned to the weather. You're having those weather apps on. You are watching your local meteorologists, because this situation is far from over. Even though we're going to be signing off here very shortly at FSU Weather, we are still wanting you to be staying attuned to all of the thunderstorms here, because they're still a threat, still can produce tornadoes well into the night tonight, even though that threat has generally decreased as a whole here. But all in all, this is the storm right here. The area I'm immediately concerned for is the city of Saylor at the moment. Saylor, you need to be inside that lowest level interior room right now, that shelter immediately for you. This is that area of rotation at the moment. It's going to be right over you, north of the city of Saylor. It's going to be right now tracking through Des Moines, and we are watching again for that area, be right in there for that track. So it's going to be moving off towards that direction. Again, if we do see another tornado warning issued, it will likely sort of hug this northern side of that warning as it goes towards Bondurant, might even be a little bit north of you for this circulation. So let's flip back to velocity, and then after that to correlation coefficient real quick. I know I've said the term correlation coefficient a few times. It's a little bit of a scientific term we use, Basically, the product is just showing us debris. We're trying to look for debris here, especially when you don't have a lot of spotters out late at night to confirm whether a tornado is on the ground. So here's our velocity real quick, and we're seeing some amplified velocity values over this region, but nothing immediately concerning for rotation at the moment as much. We're seeing a little more of a convergent, what we mean winds going towards each other, situation here south of Sailor. And we do still see a chance for that rotation in here, but it's not really tight. It's not really close. So that tells me that the immediate chance of a tornado here doesn't seem as heightened as it did maybe 1 or 2 minutes ago. But as I've emphasized a few times here, still can have that discrete threat, still can amplify very quickly, rotate very quickly, and you can have that wrap up and become a dangerous situation. So I want to emphasize, even though it might not immediately be super tight at the moment, it can become tight very quickly. And when I say that, you still see very high values of velocity on both sides here, which is still a concern for us with that potential tornado there. And there could still be a potential scenario where a tornado is on the ground, even though it doesn't necessarily look completely tightened up with this right here. Let's move to correlation coefficient if we can with this storm here, so I can see if there's any debris at the moment with this as it moves a little bit east of Sailor. And it's going to be, this right here is Interstate 35, this is Interstate 235, this is Interstate 80. So really this junction at the north of Des Moines is what we're looking for this area here. And we are watching for the chance of what could be that tornado forming there. That's why the National Weather Service issued this warning a few minutes ago. And if we could just zoom in a little bit there, see if there could be maybe a little bit of debris on that there. And I don't see an immediate thing that worries me with this storm. That we do see, again, that area of tightened rotation compared to about 10 minutes ago, but compared to about 2 or 3 minutes ago, it doesn't look quite as tight as it did earlier. So still a concern. Still, if you're in Bossier or Sailor, we want you to be paying attention to this storm. We want you to be inside your safe space, inside a basement if you have one, that lowest level interior room if you have one, away from those outside walls and windows. Make sure you're taking the storm seriously because it can still produce that threat for a tornado. So now we're just going to zoom things out here before we sign off now for the last time tonight on FSU Weather. We do still have a few of these storms here in Iowa with this tornado watch here. Those of you here need to be taking this seriously. I know even though there's only one tornado warning, there were many more earlier, these still can spin up very quickly, and they still can produce that threat for tornadoes very quickly there. Now we're going to go back south to Texas and the Arklatex region for you there and just keep you updated with those storms. Nothing severe at the moment, and that watch has been allowed to expire, but they do have that threat of producing tornadoes previously and some large hail and damaging winds, so we want to make sure that you are aware of what's going on. So now we're going to be signing off here. If you are in these regions, tune to your local meteorologist. They'll keep you updated. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and all of our social media. We will keep you updated there as well. And we will make sure to keep you updated for future severe weather events. I know we have some coming on tomorrow and Sunday, and it's going to be a pretty long week for some of you. So make sure you are taking these precautions as well. So I know this is the end of my 4 years here at FSU Weather. I'm signing off for all of us here tonight.